Chapter 791 Primordial Chaos 1. Qua. The textures and weaves of countless nets come into my eyes. I see and feel the grains of innumerable nets and think. Amazing. Though I don't know how, Yang Su Jin somehow weaved the net itself and applied it to the seal. He manipulated the net through heavenly tribulation. I cannot even get a sense of how. Even I can only barely hang on to the very edge of the principle that forms the net, and can do no more than faintly disturb the power of that principle. This is a true immortal. If one is a true immortal, can one just freely manipulate rules themselves like this? Marveling at Yang Su Jin's immense abilities, I go around Ascension Path and pick apart the power of the seal that blankets the entirety of Ascension Path. Back when I was only at the Qi refining and Qi building levels, even looking around Ascension Path took ages. But now that I have reached the early nascent soul stage of heaven and earth dual cultivation, I can circle Ascension Path in half a day. Because I look around faster than I expect, I use the earth escape technique to peer down beneath the ground. Before, I only looked around the surface of Ascension Path, or I looked up from below Ascension Path from the heaven-treading desert. But now, I can survey the sky islands, underside, using the earth escape technique. Moving under the soil through the earth escape technique and circling once around the lower part of Ascension Path, I come to know something about the overall structure of Ascension Path. It is something I uncover for the first time through my 16 regressions. Ascension Path is like the shape of a brazier. A three-legged brazier shape. That is Ascension Path. Is Yang Su Jin's Ascension Gate the lid's handle part of the brazier? Thinking about it, that's right. The Black Castle. Yang Su Jin's Black Castle was originally under the Ascension Gate, and, torn away by something, only the bottom part remains with Ascension Path. The upper part fell away to the heaven-treading desert and became the Black Castle. If Ascension Path really is some kind of brazier, then the Black Castle itself is the lid's handle. After I circle Ascension Path once and then spend about 7 days and nights observing the seals even more, I go again to the upper side of Ascension Path. I head to where the bottom portion of the Black Castle remains. The base part is in the northwest direction of Ascension Path, and farther northwest is where the Black Fortress is located in the Treading Heaven Desert. I sit on the very northwestern edge of Ascension Path and think. The sealing art cast on Ascension Path is too high level. There is nothing I can even poke or prod with the divine power of cutting principle. I cannot undo this seal as I am now. No matter how much I cultivate cutting principle, it's the same. Rather, finding a proper method to interfere with the seal will be faster, and with a very high probability, the method to interfere with the seal likely remains in the Black Castle. Wo Wang. I unfold the flying escape technique and fly toward where the Black Castle is. Wang. In the distance I faintly sense the familiar Black Castle and the puke-inducing smell of blood. Much of it is washed away by the desert sandstorms, and before I ascended, I entrusted the vengeful souls to Xiao Ran and Song Jin, so much is diluted, but it is still a disgusting smell. Landing atop Yuan Li's Black Castle, I head instead. As expected, Xiao Ran and Song Jin only took the vengeful spirits and cultivation resources, leaving things like old books or jade slips behind. If it's something in Yuan Li's fortress castle, it's either an ancient secret record or a manual of devilish arts. But Song Jin is the librarian of the Black Ghost Valley's library with hundreds of thousands of years of history. In Song Jin's eyes, they are no different from junk not worth the trouble to take, so they were left behind. In Yuan Li's library within the Black Castle, I rapidly read through the books and jade slips he left. Sure enough, there are several secret records hidden regarding Ascension Path. Star-shattering stage cultivator. While investigating the secrets about Ascension Path, Yuan Li, and the Black Castle, I read the history of a clan called the Yuan clan and come to know an unexpected fact. Yuan Li was the sole descendant of the Yuan clan that was exterminated by a great clan called the Zhou clan. Of course, I already know the Zhou clan is the lineage the Mad Lord came from, so it is not surprising. But what is even more shocking is about the being called the progenitor of the Yuan clan. One of the star-shattering stage esteemed ones from the Blood Yin realm who descended from the upper realm, tore off the Black Castle, and, by coupling with the clan that originally managed Yang Su Jin's shrine that is the Black Castle, gave birth to the Yuan clan. Yuan Li and the Yuan clan seem to have regarded that star-shattering stage esteemed one from the Blood Yin realm as their de facto progenitor. So, is that why he raised such chaos to return to his homeland, the Blood Yin realm? In a way, the origin of the heaven-treading desert massacre started from that star-shattering stage esteemed one. Why on earth did an esteemed one of the upper realm descend to the head realm? What on earth exists in this head realm? Above all, if it's a star-shattering stage esteemed one, there should be some traces, but they left no trace behind, and I have never sensed their existence throughout all the regressions until now. Perhaps, somewhere in this head realm, that star-shattering esteemed one might still be alive. It is a very frightening thought. Gulping, I read the secret records about the Yuan clan, and then go further back than the Yuan clan. I read the records of the lineage that managed Yangsu Jin's shrine. And suddenly, while reading the record book, I realize something. Central Spirit Holy Kingdom. A familiar word appears. I remember reading it long ago in the Royal Library of Shanxi. Long ago, the place where the Treading Heaven Desert is located was not a desert, but a very prosperous and abundant land. In that land there existed a tremendous empire that dominated the whole continent of the head realm in that era. That country was called the Central Spirit Holy Kingdom. But after the era of Yangsu Jin, that Central Spirit Holy Kingdom seemed to have gradually declined. I am able to find the reason for it in the record book of the lineage that managed the shrine, kept by the Yuan clan. Just before the progenitor ascended, that one destroyed the Central Spirit Holy Kingdom. According to the records, the progenitor called the Central Spirit Holy Kingdom a country of evil people that took as its state religion a wicked cult that believes in a snake. That person gathered all the dragon veins of the Central Spirit Holy Palace, robbed the vitality of the land where the cultists of the wicked Holy Kingdom lived, and sealed it into the land of the shrine that establishes that person's accomplishments. Thus, by that one's feats, under the Ascension Gate, the land of the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect where that one's shrine was built took its place in the heavens as a sky island. It is called the Flying Ascension Island, and by placing the main hall of the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect here, it facilitated the taking of tolls from those who seek to ascend, allowing the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect to establish itself as a top sect that remains through all ages. How is this not the grace of the progenitor? Quote. In summary, using religion as the reason, Yangsu Jin plundered all the dragon veins of a perfectly thriving nation and made one island. He made it into the ascension path that floats in the sky. Because Yangsu Jin robbed the dragon veins, the area where the Central Spirit Holy Kingdom was located turned entirely into the heaven-treading desert. Afterwards, the Central Spirit Holy Kingdom did not completely perish, and they struggled by any means to restore the dragon veins in the land that became a desert, but even that was utterly cut off and destroyed by the star-shattering stage esteemed one who descended from the upper realm 40,000 years ago. Did he have a grudge against the Central Spirit Holy Kingdom? Even so, under the pretext of believing in one religion, to wipe out an entire country. I glance at a book on Yuan Li's library shelf titled Great Famine of a Destroyed Nation and sigh. Skimming it with consciousness, it is a book that details how many people, after the Central Spirit Holy Kingdom's fall, suffered famine and died because the dragon veins suddenly disappeared. Truly, the more I hear of Yangsu Jin's deeds, the more I doubt whether this person is really a human. Is this truly not the conduct of one who does not regard people as people? It is cruelty that could only come from regarding humans as something other than human. Clicking my tongue at Yangsu Jin's outrageous conduct, I close the books. At least I found a lead. The caretakers of the shrine only knew that Yangsu Jin simply gathered the dragon veins of the Central Spirit Holy Kingdom into one and made ascension path, but they did not know what was sealed. But what is clear is that the dragons of the Central Spirit Holy Kingdom were gathered, the nation was destroyed, and something was sealed. It's too strange to say it is merely to support the Ascension Gate. Why was it the Central Spirit Holy Kingdom of all places? Could it not have been Biokra, Shanxi, Yangguo, the Great Northern Grasslands, or perhaps the Eastern Tribal States? There is something in the Central Spirit Holy Kingdom. Hong Fan, I have a favor to ask. At my words, Hong Fan appears behind me in an instant and bows his head. The gigantic centipede politely opens his mouth. Please give the command. Gather materials concerning the Central Spirit Holy Kingdom. Since his work sense is in any case better than mine, he will gather information faster than if I go around myself. In addition, if I needlessly stir up the head realm as I go around, the chances of meeting old connections will be high. At least now, while I cultivate the star-extinguishing true chapter, I do not want to meet old connections. Understood. Then, may I first advance to the nascent soul stage and then receive the command? Of course. Hong Fan cautiously asks me whether he may reach the nascent soul stage, and I nod. Over the past few days, as I went around inspecting the seal on ascension path that Yangsu Jin set up, the gloom of having my realm caught up to by Hong Fan also eased a little. Perhaps, regardless of realm, the act of exploring something mysterious itself blew away such a heart demon. To confess honestly, I was a little depressed that I can't keep up with your realm rising. I suppose, it is fair to say I felt a little jealous. Is that so? No, perhaps besides being jealous of you, I was also a little afraid. The curse of heavenly punishment upon me began from a true immortal. Even now, frankly, I have such thoughts that you might be a true immortal toying with me, and I am a little afraid. Quote. But, as I went around Ascension Path and washed away stray thoughts, I could find my original intention again. I smiled toward Hong Fan. Even if you are toying with me, so what? Even if you are such a vast existence that I cannot possibly oppose you and you are toying with my entire life. I decided to think of you as a friend. At my words, Hong Fan's eyes become something unreadable. If I truly am a wicked existence that toys with you, Master, then what are you going to do? If you are such an existence, I absolutely cannot resist. Then is it not meaningless to discuss it? I cannot understand. Like the true immortal of heavenly punishment who made Master's body like that, if I give Master an indelible wound, what are you intending to do? That is a matter for that time. Right now, you are helping me, are you not? That is true. For what intention you help me, I do not know. But right now, you claim yourself as my subordinate and stand as my comrade. In that case, I treat you as a friend. Then, if I later betray and toy with Master, what will you do? Ha ha ha, what use is there in talking about something that has not happened? I can think about it when the time comes. Quote. You are a little irresponsible. Hong Fan twitches his antennae, as if something about my attitude bothers him. Do you mean even when hope that comes in the future is to turn into despair, you will just let go? I am not letting go. I am being faithful to the present. Quote. Is that not ultimately an attitude that there is no tomorrow? Is there any need to abandon the friend of now for the fear of tomorrow? That is sophistry. Be prepared. What does Master know about me? That kind of complacency that does not prepare for tomorrow, that does not think of the future, is what brings misfortune. It is what dulls hope. Is it that something about my attitude is unpleasant? Hong Fan raises his antennae stiffly, seeming to show irritation. Fine, then since it is your sincere advice, I will prepare. Quote. Do you truly understand my words, or are you just pretending to listen to me? I am not pretending to listen to you. My friend is now earnestly offering sincere advice, so I am accepting it as well. Quote. As if something does not sit right with him. Letting out a vaguely unpleasant intent, he stares at me for a moment. But in the end, he sighs and nods. Anyway, Master is saying that from now on, you will not be seized by heart demons, and you will not care whether I raise my realm or not. Understood. As for Master's thoughts, as one lives, there is plenty of room to change. Then, starting today I will earnestly raise my realm and assist Master. Having finished speaking, he goes out of the archives, and I, seeing such a Hong Fan, think of something. He is very negative about not thinking of the future. Considering that countless insects live only for this one day, Hong Fan is a very alien centipede. Well, since memories of his previous life are coming to mind, it is only natural. Anyway, the important part was ultimately the words, I choose to trust Hong Fan. But seeing that at the word, future, his mood was scratched and he showed an unpleasant tone, it seems he has some bad memory about not preparing for the future. Perhaps, in this life, as I investigate Ascension Path, I should also try to learn about Hong Fan. In this life, just the two of us, Hong Fan and I, will have to be together for hundreds of years. In the meantime, it would be good to learn about his previous life and his true intent. Thus, the next day arrives. Hong Fan immediately challenges the nascent soul. Stage advancement, and with the three spirits art he raises all three bodies to the nascent soul stage. Until now, it seems he deliberately held himself back, reading the mood because his master was depressed. Clack, clack, entering the nascent soul stage and finishing his molting, Hong Fan succeeds in transformation and comes to obtain a human body. Oh, Hong Fan, is that your transformation form? Hong Fan's first transformation form is the appearance of a robust middle-aged man. His hair is black mixed with a few gray strands, and his body is that of a middle-aged man so robust that he stands at least a head taller than me. At the same time, the black robe he condenses by exuding poison energy makes him look like an emperor. Yes, since a great many memories of my previous life returned, it seems the transformation form was determined by the appearance of my past life. In his voice there is an overbearing aura, seeming to have a wondrous power that naturally makes the listener look up to him. Sure enough, he really was a true immortal in his previous life. If, with just a transformation form at the early nascent soul level, he carries such dignity and imposing majesty, then surely in his previous life he was a true immortal. With such an imposing bearing that just looking makes one naturally want to bow and prostrate, I almost prostrate before him without realizing it. But before that happens, Hong Fan goes down on one knee before me and bows his head. I speak again, but my fate is to attend and assist at Master's side so that you walk the right path. Under the heavens, I pledge loyalty to thee, so please treat me as before, no matter what my realm is. Under these heavens, I swear that I will care for you with utmost sincerity and devotion. Thank you. I accept once more the vow of loyalty that Hong Fan offers and reach out my hand as I raise him up. As long as you stay by my side, I will treat you as a friend. Barring anomalies, until this life ends. I will trust you. Thank you. At my words, Hong Fan wears a faint smile, and naturally takes the hand I extend for a handshake. Though I have not taught him a handshake, it seems he does it by intuition. Thus, after reaching the nascent soul stage, Hong Fan begins to move in earnest for my sake. Through the three spirits art, Hong Fan brings even the external clones all to the nascent soul stage. Then he stations 2 of the 3 clones he made with the 3 spirits art in other places, and keeps only himself, the main body, and 1 body at my side to attend me. First, I will leave 1 3 spirits art clone for the purpose Master mentioned, to travel all over the head realm and collect information. Oh ho, good, of course you will handle it well on your own, but, what about the rest? What do you plan to do? Would it not be better to invest the rest in information gathering as well? I will send the other clone up to the upper realm. Through the clone raised to the upper realm, I judged it better to gather the trends and information of the upper realm to find even one method to undo Master's curse, or to find a way to slow the progress of Master's curse, or to find such an elixir or artifact. Ho, good. Following Hong Fan's counsel, I did come to the head realm where the heavenly punishment curse progresses more slowly, but I am also curious about the situation of the bright cold realm, so it is welcome news. For the last clone, I will leave it by my side for now so that, should Master need it, I can trigger its cultivation to help. Is this acceptable? I see. Thank you for the consideration. Then I leave it to you. I will not disappoint Master. From that day, after I said I will not worry and will trust him, he displays his skill without reserve. The clone chosen to send up to the upper realm reaches the heavenly being stage in 3 days and he has it ascend, and the clone to gather information in the head realm learns within 3 days a method called the Blood Insect Demon Devil Great Method, which Hong Fan says he once obtained in his past life, transforming its whole body into tens of thousands of tiny insects and departs the heaven-treading desert. Since those countless insects, once they accumulate sufficient energy, can divide as much as desired and can also parasitize the desired target, it seems to be an art optimized for information gathering. Thus, 7 days and nights after Hong Fan departs to gather information, he quickly compiles high-quality information and hands it to me. Information on the Central Spirit Holy Kingdom. It is excellent. I acquired considerable knowledge from the Royal Library of Shengxi and the Cheonmin clan's archives, but Hong Fan brings countless pieces of information even I do not know of. The northern Great Grasslands and the eastern tribal states. And from the homelands where high-ranking demon races like the Sea Dragon race dwell, he brings numerous records, compiles them, and delivers to me the information I want. Since it's no different from the fast information processing I once exercised through the information search divine power of a communication magic artifact on Earth, I can sit comfortably in one place and compile myriad pieces of information. The Imperial Palace of the Central Spirit Holy Kingdom. At its center, there was a divine treasure handed down through generations in the Holy Kingdom, The Central Spirit Holy Kingdom called it by the name Heavenly Void Furnace, and it seems it was regarded as a divine object symbolizing the supreme deity who governs the heavenly country. Throb. The supreme deity who governs the heavenly country. For some reason, the moment I see that expression, the Ender's Tale I saw before comes to mind and my head starts to ache. Is it the same being as the one that appears in the Ender's Tale? Perhaps it is not a mere myth or legend but an actually existing true immortal. Hong Fan, what do you think about the being called the supreme deity who governs the heavenly country, that appears in the Central Spirit Holy Kingdom's legend? I don't know what kind of guy it is, but I don't like it from the name alone. Is there anything that comes to mind? No, not particularly. I understand. Seeing that Hong Fan shows no reaction, perhaps it is not a true immortal that actually exists. Or it could simply be a being with no acquaintance with Hong Fan. First, the heavenly void furnace is a divine object that symbolizes the supreme deity who governs the heavenly country, and is the precious treasure of that being. I recall the three great divine artifacts of the head realm. If it bears the name divine artifact, then it should at least be at a level connected to a true immortal. The immortal treasure heavenly lightning banner of the golden divine heavenly thunder sect. The imitation immortal treasure nether crossing ship of Black Ghost Valley. The azure sky armor of the azure heaven creation sect that is said to have reached the level of an immortal treasure. With high probability, this heavenly void furnace too is an item related to a true immortal. I look at the illustration about the divine artifact called the heavenly void furnace that Hong Fan has investigated. What appears in the illustration is a brazier with 3 legs. My suspicion nearly turns into certainty. What is sealed in Ascension Path, with high probability is the heavenly void furnace. Why did Yongsu Jin seal this heavenly void furnace? I read through the materials Hong Fan has researched and learned the heavenly void furnace. The uses of the divine artifact called the heavenly void furnace are largely twofold. The first is for ritual use. When at times a messenger of light descends from the heavens to give an oracle, they insert incense fire into the heavenly void furnace to conduct the rite and pray for prosperity for the central spirit holy kingdom. The second is for cultivation, going into the heavenly void furnace for a short while to meditate and then coming out. The heavenly void furnace is apparently large enough for a person to enter, and if one goes inside and meditates for about a day and then comes out, the cultivation blocks open up, or the cultivation of divine powers and methods whose progress has been slow advances sharply. As a side effect there is the drawback that the consciousness is slightly damaged, but if there is a way to restore consciousness by learning a consciousness method, it is at a level where there is no problem. If I read only up to here, there seems to be no great reason to seal the heavenly void furnace. Why, then, did Yongsu Jin go so far as to seal the heavenly void furnace? If I dig into the seal of the heavenly void furnace first, I should also be able to meet Yongsu Jin's lingering thought. When that time comes, I'll ask directly. Through the records of the Central Spirit Holy Kingdom, I learned that the Central Spirit Holy Kingdom virtually worshipped the heavenly void furnace as almost a god, and that they did not light incense to the heavenly void furnace in order to perform a rite to the heavens through the heavenly void furnace. But they performed the ritual targeting the heavenly void furnace itself. According to the records, because the heavenly void furnace is a divine artifact with immense spiritual nature, if one performs a ritual to the heavenly void furnace, a certain response comes, and one can be granted a certain fortune, almost like the liberation seal. However, because it is a ritual method from 120,000 years ago, it has almost fallen out of use in the present, and Hong Fan barely managed to obtain it. If I try to receive a response by conducting a ritual at such close range to a divine artifact with strong spiritual nature, the power of the seal will naturally block it. In this stabilized state of the Ascension Path's seal, no matter how much I use the divine power of the star extinguishing true chapter, breaking the seal is unreasonable, but if the sealed target responds from inside, the seal too will show a certain gap. If I drive cutting principle into that gap, then the lingering thought left by Yongsu Jin will come out from the desire to not have the seal be broken. If it turns out that way, I can meet Yongsu Jin's lingering thought, show my present state, and seek an answer. And perhaps I can borrow the power of the heavenly void furnace to cultivate the star-extinguishing true chapter. A divine artifact that, just by going in and meditating a little, allows breakthroughs in cultivation. To someone like me with no talent, it is nothing short of an immense treasure. Since I have already learned the wonderfully mysterious heart canon, even the side effect is at a level of no problem. In a day or two, I can recover something like a slight damage to consciousness with the wonderfully mysterious innate heart canon. Hong Fan, through the ritual that appears here, I will try to connect to the thing called the heavenly void furnace. Prepare the rite. Yes, Master. Through Hong Fan, I obtain the items used for the ritual, seize the auspicious timing, and begin offering the ritual to the heavenly void furnace. As Hong Fan and I wave flags and carry out the ritual, the celestial energy gradually surges, and Ascension Path begins to respond. For the celestial energy to surge just from performing a ritual, is it truly an immense divine artifact? Wo Wang. And after a while, I feel the net of the seal ripple from deep within. The heavenly void furnace responds, and it seems as if Yongsu Jin's seal strives to block that response. However, I aim for that gap and use divine power toward the seal deep within. Cutting principle. Shikagek. The consciousness domain narrows, turns into a solid line, and flies out as a slashing strike. The slashing strike of consciousness becomes a blade that cuts principle, slicing away a portion of the seal formula's principle. And at that moment, Suat, as I thought, the lingering intent of Yangsu Jin, which I anticipated to also exist in the seal of the heavenly void furnace, begins to connect to my mind that is conducting the right. Kurururung. The whole world is thunder and lightning. But it is a little different from the lingering thought that is at Shattered Heaven Peak. It is a world of thunder and lightning, yet beyond that world, Ascension Path faintly shows through. It looks as if the world of thunder and lightning is faintly overlaid upon Ascension Path. Kwajijijik. Within the lightning, a familiar will takes form. A human figure formed of red lightning. Golden divine Yangsu Jin. O later generation, surely that my lingering thought has responded means that you are an ender after me. As expected, his lingering intent appears, and I answer with courtesy. Yes, Golden Divine, because there is something I wish to ask you. I touch the seal you set under the name Ascension Path. Ha, you have received a powerful gift, later generation. State what you wish to ask me. That is, at the words, later generation, I suddenly feel the presence of someone, and I hurriedly turn around. Quote. Hong Fan has entered the space of Yangsu Jin together with me. It is a different place from the space at Shattered Heaven Peak, but I am a little flustered because I thought it is a space that only an ender can enter. How? Quote. Just, since Master Spirit was being dragged in, I came in together. I suddenly remember that Hong Fan is a true immortal. Can a being at the level of true immortality also enter a place like this easily? I will stay quiet so as not to disturb you, Master. Please, carry on with your matter. Understood. With a slightly forced expression, I take my gaze off Hong Fan and look again at Yangsu Jin's lingering thought. Quote. At that moment, I feel a strange sense of incongruity. What is this? Something is. It seems entranced. I don't know the reason, but the senses that have become extremely keen while cultivating the star-extinguishing true chapter inform me of some intuition through the net. Yangsu Jin's lingering thought, right now, is entranced by something. Is it Hong Fan? No. Yangsu Jin is a being who reached the peak of true immortality. He is a being who overcame even heavenly tribulation. But Hong Fan still has an aspect that receives a strong influence from heavenly tribulation. Therefore, no matter how strong a true immortal Hong Fan is, I expect he ranks below Yangsu Jin. And more than anything, even if Hong Fan is a powerhouse on par with Yangsu Jin, the current Hong Fan is a being who has lost most of his memory and power, with a maximum that is only at the heavenly being stage. Though it is only a lingering thought, Yangsu Jin's will that affects fate should be stronger. Above all, that is just something like an image that Yangsu Jin left behind. It is only that he was a true immortal that some will remain even in an image. How could something left as a record be bewitched? I must be overly sensitive. I shake my head and shake off the thoughts that rise in my mind. For some reason, it looked as if a taiji passed before my eyes, but it must be because I entered Yangsu Jin's subspace. O Golden Divine, I received a curse that a true immortal of heavenly punishment laid upon my spirit. I wish to ask how I should perform curse unbinding to remove this curse. At my question, Yangsu Jin's lingering thought opens its mouth. For some reason, it is stiffer than the lingering thought at Shattered Heaven Peak, and it answers while giving off a strangely puppet-like feeling. Use the Heavenly Sky Furnace Tian Kong Lu. Heavenly Sky Tian Kong. It seems Yangsu Jin refers to it as Heavenly Sky Furnace Tian Kong Lu, not Heavenly Void Furnace Tian Gong Lu. No, perhaps the name attached by the humans of the Central Spirit Holy Kingdom and the name perceived by Yangsu Jin who is true immortal rank being different is only natural. O Golden Divine, whether you thought the Heavenly Sky Furnace was dangerous or had some reason to seal it, is there not a reason you sealed it? Then is it acceptable for me to use it? The reason I sealed the Heavenly Sky Furnace is, only to minimize light from interfering with the head realm. It is not completely sealed. If the fourth seed of the 8 immortals properly performs the ritual, even my seal is useless. Jing, when I receive information about the existences called 8 immortals, I feel as if my head is about to burst. It seems to be some group of true immortals that oppose Yangsu Jin. Therefore, O later generation, through the Heavenly Sky Furnace, increase your cultivation and strengthen your divine powers and authority. If you do so, surely your problem shall also be resolved. TSTSTSTSTSs. As with the afterimage at Shattered Heaven Peak, the afterimage in Ascension Path also begins to grow faint, as if its time has come. I grant you the authority to ignore my seal and access the heavenly sky furnace. Suat. Before Yang Su Jin's afterimage finally vanishes, it reaches its hand toward me and bestows some blessing. Receiving its blessing, I return to reality, and I think about the sense of incongruity I felt throughout my conversation with Yang Su Jin. Why, that is surely Yang Su Jin's afterimage. But, why is it? I felt as if I was not conversing with Yang Su Jin, but a puppet. As if someone wore Yang Su Jin's shell instead of Yang Su Jin himself and gave me the answers, an unsettling feeling. Hong Fan, did you perhaps feel something from the afterimage of the golden divine Yang Su Jin? As I still have not recovered my realm, I do not know well. As Master knows, my innate true method, Darkness World, is characterized by weak stability and senses. It seems my realm is too low to feel delicate senses like Master. Hong Fan's words are also right. Is it just a needless worry? I try thinking it over, but in the end, I arrive at the conclusion that there is nothing I can know by worrying right now. If it is hard to reach a conclusion, how about first trying as the Golden Divine suggested? If it seems like a trap, I will enter the Heavenly Void Furnace first and try meditating once. If there is no problem for me, there will be none for Master either. Hong Fan. I feel moved by Hong Fan's attitude to sacrifice himself for me, but I soon shake my head. No, I cannot put you up as a sacrifice. However, enough. It is what I decided. Do not make me repeat my words. Leaving behind Hong Fan, who shows his concern, I use the Earth Escape technique and immediately begin to burrow toward the center of Ascension Path. Wu Wang. The seals that Yang Su Jin made through dragon veins in principle seem as though they will block me, but the power Yang Su Jin directly granted cancels those seals, and I am able to break through them in an instant. And after a while, deep in the center of Ascension Path, I arrive at a certain cave that is on the inside. This place is. It is a cave that seems to have formed naturally, but I can tell its form was thoroughly made to seal something at the cave's center. I walk toward the center of the cave, and at last, I can see what is sealed in the middle. This is the divine artifact that Yang Su Jin called the Heavenly Sky Furnace. The true nature of the buoyant force that keeps the entirety of Ascension Path floating in the sky. Wu Wang. I slowly approach that mysterious three-legged brazier floating in the void. The legs of the brazier are rusted, so it is hard to see in detail, but one is black. One is yellow, one is a color close to white mixed with all of heaven's natural colors. Wu Wang. As I look at the strange engraved embossed patterns on the surface of the brazier, I feel a certain wisdom enter my mind. When the three powers become one, that is the very origin of omnipotence. Divide omnipotence to become three, and that is the very absolute of the three kings. Those patterns are some kind of ancient script, and it seems that even if one does not know how to read this ancient script, it conveys its implied meaning directly to the reader in the form of wisdom. Origin of omnipotence. What is that supposed to mean? It does feel like a wisdom that looks impressive, but perhaps it is too high in level. Or perhaps it only sounds impressive. I do not receive the kind of shock I do when I face true immortals. Well, it is probably nothing that great. Even if it really is great, I have the canvas of myriad forms and connections, so if I record it there, I won't forget it and can look into it later. Leaving behind the formula that gives a strange sense of déjà vu as if I have seen it somewhere. I examine the Heavenly Void Furnace closely. A brazier large enough for a person to enter. Do I just go in and meditate for a day? I carefully probe the inside of the Heavenly Void Furnace with my consciousness, and the moment I realize there is nothing inside, I carefully step in. After meditating for a day, blocked cultivation or divine powers will become a little stronger, is it? It certainly is a brazier with powerful spiritual nature, but that spiritual nature is firmly fixed to the Heavenly Void Furnace and does not seem likely to flow into me in particular. Hong Fan, are you out there? I call Hong Fan, and Hong Fan answers from outside the Heavenly Void Furnace. Yes, Master. I followed and am outside. If anything suspicious appears, wake me immediately. Yes, understood. As much as it is called a divine artifact, if anything strange happens, I will pull Master out immediately. How reassuring you are. Smiling faintly, I close my eyes and sit in a lotus position, passing the time. I do not know how long I spend clearing my consciousness and calming my heart. I start to feel a little bored, and I also feel tired. Nothing happens, and I am so bored that I even doze off now and then. Thus, a day passes. Hong Fan, are you there? Yes, master. Was there anything unusual outside? No. I come out of the heavenly void furnace and approach Hong Fan, who is standing guard as my law protector outside. Let us go out for now. To check whether there is anything strange or not, I come out with Hong Fan to the surface of Ascension Path. And when I read the celestial energy of the sky to check the time, a day truly has passed. Without anything happening, time is not particularly twisted, there is no earth-shaking change, and the spiritual nature of the heavenly void furnace has not flowed in. Rather, I observe a corner of my consciousness. A portion of my consciousness was torn away, to the point that it must be restored. It was torn away by quite a large margin. The degree of damage to my consciousness is more severe than I expected, to the point it seems I must operate the wonderfully mysterious innate heart cannon and recuperate for at least a month. My cultivation doesn't seem to have increased in particular either. Did my consciousness just get torn and that's it? What on earth is this? Just when I am clicking my tongue inwardly at the heavenly void furnace and am about to operate the formula of the star extinguishing true chapter to observe the net. Quote. Only then do I feel a change. Master, is there some change? Shiver. Goosebumps start to rise. What on earth is this? I went into the heavenly void furnace and meditated for a day. After coming out, I immediately try using the divine power of cutting principle and realize something. The cultivation divine power of the star extinguishing true chapter's first layer, cutting principle. A divine power that cuts principle. The cultivation progress of cutting principle has advanced as much as if I cultivated for a year. Only then do I realize how terrifying a divine artifact the heavenly void furnace is. Regardless of the rank of the method, if I simply go inside and meditate for a day, in exchange for consuming consciousness, it simply advances a year's worth of cultivation. The common cultivation methods are the 5 surpassing paths to cultivation sold in the marketplace. Even the immortal arts of a true immortal. As long as I spend about a day, this divine artifact pierces through a year's worth of cultivation progress equally for everything. That is the ability of the artifact called the heavenly void furnace. The moment I realize that, I feel my chest swell with hope. If it is this divine artifact, it is possible, within this lifetime, it is possible to sever the very connection with the true immortal of heavenly punishment and completely escape the curse of lightning transformation. Present. Kugugugu. I look at the heavenly void furnace, which, by Hyaon Emu's command, is gradually regaining its size and exerting its authority, and I let out a bitter smile. As I view the memories of the 16th cycle, only now do I understand that devilish monster's curse. At the time I didn't understand immediately, but only now, having ascended to true immortality and risen to become a governing immortal. Just by reviewing the memories, I come to understand all the truths that were hidden. The true ability of the heavenly void furnace is distortion of time and deletion of memory. It invites the target who enters the heavenly void furnace into its inner world of primordial chaos and makes them spend 100 million years, then, after erasing the memories of those 100 million years, returns their existence to reality and throws them a pitiful amount of cultivation progress as the price for 100 million years of ascetic suffering. That is this devilish monster's power. In the 16th cycle, in reality, I lived around 500 years and died. But I, who was sucked into the heavenly void furnace, suffered for an unimaginably eternal span of time. Vividly recalling the nightmare of the 16th cycle, I begin to devise a dispelling formula to break the authority of the heavenly void furnace. Chapter 792 Primordial Chaos 2. A supreme deity raises a hand. In the name of Flood, I declare. Woo. Above the audience chamber, the chaos of the outer sea starts to heave and flood. The flooding chaos surges forth, and countless heavenly domains seem to bubble as if boiling and then explode all at once. Be submerged. An archaic existence called the Flood Supreme Deity Fan Lan Shangdi Guai Jian Wai Qian floods annihilation. Amid the explosions of innumerable heavenly domains, another supreme deity swings an arm. As the war god of sunken speech Shenyan I command. Xiao. The heavenly domains that ceaselessly explode and drive us back all freeze at once, dropping us into a world of absolute zero. Sink. The silent supreme deity Shenmo Shangdi Huk Seong He Sheng presses down a hand made of darkness from within a black robe. All sound and vibration disappear, and within an endless world of stasis, our very existence itself sinks. Not stopping there, our existence and history, made into absolute stillness, are torn away and become ancient force. Judging by the skill in handling ancient force, they are clearly an immortal beast king. The winter castle of the firmament. The frosted wall of the North Pole. Snowflake-laden cave of evening. The darkened house of midnight. Way-oh-oh. A blizzard blows. No, it is not a blizzard. Its name is winter. The concept called winter itself flies like a blizzard and throws us, who are becoming ancient force, into a domain filled with permafrost data inside the Akashic records, sealing us away forever. Freeze and be imprisoned. Let none remember. The owner of winter, the extreme cold supreme deity, Jihan Shangdi, Han Qian, Han Tian, neutralizes us with their authority. Wururururururu. The combined assault of numerous supreme deities is not the end. The future King's Gang Sphere clones, the 50 Gandhara whirl all at once and sever our causality and principle themselves. True martial arts, black heaven darkness world. Void speed is almost sealed, but with only the power of darkness world that eats and cuts the law of causality, it is enough for our very existence to be forgotten eternally. In an instant, countless enders and heavenly kings seem to be struck. Quatching. Just then, a gigantic hand-burning light pink breaks space-time itself and appears beyond the joint seal of the supreme deities and Hyeon Mu. Some among those supreme deities, as if recognizing it, even under control by the future king, regain their reason and start to scream. How? Surely they died. Even as they died, we saw them challenge the audience chamber. Why are you still alive? Vastcold. Woo. Supreme deities who seem to have been governing immortals during Vast Cold's era wail as if they are mere mortal beings, and even Hyeon Mu flinches. Avoidit. Vastcoldisungtherper. Immediately after, the Vast Cold Heavenly Lord swings an arm. There is no sound. There is no shockwave, no visible corpse fragments or phenomena. Only one thing remains. It is the audience chamber, torn along the trajectory of Vast Cold's arm, illuminating the other worlds of the other creation gods beyond the Varamba wind. And, with no phenomenon at all, dozens of supreme deities and 30 Gandhara are deleted. Belatedly, Hyeon Mu splits the gang extreme clones, but beyond the shards of space-time, another arm made of light pink flames pops out. That is the end. With no sound or forewarning, the Gandhara that are being split by Hyeon Mu's will, except for 3 bodies, are again deleted, and afterwards, a corner of the audience chamber is torn away again. Then they begin to pull forth their body. Kuguguging. The supreme deities on the opposing side who are still intact try to exert their authority, but the moment that gigantic body descends into the battlefield, no one dares to take action. The gigantic deity covered in light pink flames. The Vast Cold Heavenly Lord begins to let out a roar. Ooh, quatching. Just a roar. With only that, the entire audience chamber shatters to pieces. All space-time, except around the Jade Throne where the future king sits, fractures unrealistically and flies away. Mount Sumeru and the chaos of the outer sea that are beneath the audience chamber start to be pushed out. From the faces of supreme deities of governing immortal rank, divine blood and immortal beast true blood burst out, and as if internal injuries have occurred to the middle realms and heavenly domains within their bodies, none can steady themselves. Who? And the Vast Cold Heavenly Lord exhales. The breath that starts from their mouth becomes a terrifying repulsion force, and just as the future king's sigh bound us for an instant, it briefly binds the Gandhara of all the supreme deities and Hyeon Mu. Hyeon Mu endures that breath of repulsion force and tries to mount some resistance, but in the next moment, Hyeon Mu and the supreme deities can eventually no longer withstand Vast Cold's breath and are pushed outside the audience chamber. They are flown away to the other worlds where the other creation gods are. Having restored their bodies amid the combined assault of the supreme deities, Obsidian and Silver Basket look at Vast Cold with slightly dumbfounded eyes, and I also look at them, a bit taken aback by that monstrous power. I can do something similar, but not like that. But immediately after, the one supreme deity who remains vomits light. The future king's immortal treasure. The radiant supreme deity, Suat. The 7 heavenly lords scream, and inside it, a phenomenon that looks as if time is turning back, happens again, and the one who had flown away to a separate world jumps out. It is Hyeon Mu. Hyeon Mu looks at us with gloomy eyes and places the origin essence of light upon her hand. Radiance mantra, time restoration, Kuriririk. As I endured the future king's strike with auspicious soul filling the heavens and brought my comrades back to life. Hyeon Mu turns time back once more, invites us onto a new timeline, and brings back and restores the supreme deities and Gandhara that were just now annihilated back into this world. In pure force, the one equal to the main body is you. With eyes filled with self-loathing and emptiness, Hyeon Mu points to the heavenly void furnace and speaks. Then, shall we see if your authority is also to that extent? Woo-wooning. The immortal treasure radiance supreme deity. From within, the torch candle heavenly lord jumps out and resists. But unable to resist the authority of Hyeon Mu who regained the future king's memories, they in the end become a single flame and burrows into the heavenly void furnace. The torch candle heavenly lord becomes a single incense flame of the heavenly void furnace. Incense lights up in the heavenly void furnace, and the incense flame changes into mist and chaos, forming some kind of shape. That is, O heavenly void furnace, I light incense before you and beseech you pour forth infinite tales and make the sinner wander through the life of eternal ages. Immediately after, Hyeon Mu grabs the black handle among the three handles, and she pours toward vast cold the torch candle heavenly lord that burns in that brazier and the something that is welling up inside it. Vast cold tries to evade, but at that moment, Hyeon Mu seems to vanish from before the eyes, then quickly envelopes what is inside the brazier over vast cold. Emptiness sword, 6th form, future, Kuriririk. I step forward to stop it, but in the end, vast cold is just barely covered by the ashes that are burning in the brazier and disappears from the battlefield. Judging by what I experienced in the 16th cycle, they likely got sucked into the countless stories, melted into chaos, and for a time close to eternity, they will remain confined while repeating the cycle of reincarnation as immortal, exhausting the heart and mind to the extreme. You also use the emptiness sword. Because I am his true martial arts itself. Why do you think I am called the true martial great emperor? Hyeon Mu transforms again into a swirling Gandhara and leads the restored army of supreme deities. The move of future is an acceleration technique that surpasses my own limits. The principle of void speed is something that cannot be manifested to reach undying if the heart is not settled. But if I use future, I can move again at the previous speed as much as I want. Countless authorities and authorities mix and intertwine, and the powers of innumerable supreme deities surge like waves and create a new world close to Mount Sumeru. Kururururu. Something in the form of a mountain, almost the same as Mount Sumeru, with dozens of heavenly domains woven together, plunges down toward us. You cannot surpass even me alone. Wu Wang. And, in front of yet another Mount Sumeru completed under Hyeon Mu's command. Something small blocks it. It is a single degenerate star. That black hole which absorbs all light devours even the very other Mount Sumeru as if drinking down the sky, and transmits the power to somewhere. Its name is Swallowing Heaven. The worst mantra evolved from the flawless mantra by the God of Gods. The Obsidian Devil Heavenly King, while receiving power from Swallowing Heaven, steps forward and begins to exert power, and seeing that, Hyeon Mu starts stroking the heavenly void furnace again. Seeing this, I try to squeeze out the dispelling formula of the heavenly void furnace even faster. A true war of myth begins to unfold. 16th cycle, inside the heavenly void furnace. I blink. I dozed off for a moment. After entering the heavenly void furnace, setting Hong Fan as the law protector, meditating a bit, and growing bored for a while, I dozed for a moment. Maybe because I'm using it for the first time. I really don't know what it's helping at all. I received Yang Soo-jin's blessing and tried using it, but no matter how I look, I can't see the effects that were expected. Maybe it's not something that shows effects after one use, but like the liberation seal, it draws in fortune and boosts cultivation luck. For now, since this is the first use, I don't think I can judge anything. Tisk. It seems at least a day has passed, so shall I head out soon? Sensing time through my biological clock, I call to the one who should be standing as my law protector outside. Hong Fan, are you there? But for some reason Hong Fan gives no answer. By any chance, was there anything unusual outside? No matter how many times I call, there is only silence. Inside the heavenly void furnace, I can't send consciousness outside, On top of that, it seems even sensing through the grain of air, temperature, and vibrations is blocked, so I can't feel anything outside. Did something come up? I should go out for now. I step out of the heavenly void furnace and look around to find Hong Fan, who should be standing as my law protector outside. Shall we first head out? And I shut my mouth. Goo. My vision reels. My sense of distance and my sense of time are strange. Causality, space-time, rules. I cannot feel any of them. Everything is bizarre, it's a terrible sea of chaos like billowing clouds. Pitch black primordial. Chaos greets me. Kahyuk, Kahahek. When I meet this chaos with a body that is merely at the nascent soul stage, I realize that my very existence is being distorted. Instinctively, I look back at the heavenly void furnace. I do not know why I was suddenly transferred into this bizarre sea of chaos. However, one thing is certain. Even in this sea of chaos, the heavenly void furnace takes on an intact form, and inside it, I am also fine. I must return to the heavenly void furnace. However, no matter how I search, I cannot see the heavenly void furnace. With no time even to be flustered at the heavenly void furnace suddenly vanishing, my entire body melts in the chaos and turns into something bizarre hundreds of millions of times. Gua, Yuang, Wen Shichen. For that length of time, I scream, and I barely gather my very existence around the canvas of myriad forms and connections. Kahayak, Hyok, a pale mist surrounds me from the chaos and protects my nascent soul. But what is protected is only the spirit and the nascent soul. Everything else, my physical body and all that spans the body, has already melted away in the chaos and vanished. I can't feel the colorless glass sword. However, the canvas of myriad forms and connections, which activates based on the colorless glass sword, remains. It is a strange thing. For now, I can endure in this chaos through the canvas of myriad forms and connections. I operate the canvas of myriad forms and connections at full power and strain to protect at least my spirit. Why did I suddenly get moved from the heavenly void furnace to a world like this? Could this be the heavenly void furnace's true ability? Damn it! Startled by this bizarre phenomenon, I first begin to think about a way to escape from within this phenomenon. It might be an illusion. Let's stay still and figure out the rules of this strange world. Wo Wang, maintaining the power of my nascent soul, I create a spell in half a day within my nascent soul to calculate time on my own behalf and measure the time. Thus, a day passes. A day. Within the span of a day, I learn one thing. Damn it, it is precisely that this world has no rules. I cannot discover any rules at all. I can only drift in this sea of chaos like duckweed and barely maintain my existence. In this world, it is impossible for anything living, anything with rules, to exist. Yang Su Jin, why in the world did you send me here? Harboring doubt toward Yang Su Jin, who strongly insisted I enter this place, I continue to observe this world and observe again. A month passes. I see. During the span called a month, I come to know by feeling this chaos with my very nascent soul. This chaos belongs to none of Qi, soul, or fate. Qi, soul, fate. It feels like all of heaven, earth, heart and the three powers are jumbled into one big mess. And that means, if I use this chaos, it might be possible to cultivate and to restore the body. In the midst of chaos, I set a goal. First, in this chaos where everything is jumbled together, let's try dividing it into three. If I can extract Qi from the chaos, it might be possible to restore the body and accumulate cultivation. From that day forward, I concentrate my entire mind and attempt to access the chaos. Thus, a year passes. Ga, Kuog, Og, nothing is achieved. For the time called a year, I grab at this thing called chaos and do every kind of mad act to extract Qi. However, the chaos does not budge. It only tosses me about like duckweed, making me drift here and there. In this severed world of chaos where I cannot talk with anyone, I scream endlessly and wail in despair. 10 years pass. Something begins to change. Wu Wang. I empty my mind into emptiness, become a natural state, and focus my will before my eyes. And at a certain moment, a portion of the chaos before my eyes twists. For the span of 10 years, I drifted through chaos. And in the 10th year, at last, in regards to how to wield this thing called chaos, I am able to grasp a faint sense. Is this, Piok, how it's done, not as if handling spells, not as if handling martial arts. The condition to handle chaos is, quite literally, a do-or-die resolve. It is the very will to offer everything. I must devote my entire self. Wu Wang, only then does it move, if only in part. That is chaos. Ripple. Succeeding in making a portion of the chaos before my eyes ripple, I remember the sensation at the moment of success. A power that moves only when I devote my whole mind, heart, and strength. It's like, when I cut down Yangguo's crown prince Mokli Haion even after my neck fell. When I seized Mokli Wang Qian's hand and, even after dying, gripped it to buy time for my disciples. When, to bow to my master, I resisted the heavens and made my heart beat just to move my body. Only by unfolding the do-or-die resolve I felt then does movement become possible. That is precisely chaos. I can do it. I know myself well. If I set my mind to it, I can do it as much as it takes. Whether 1 year, 10 years, 100 years, even if it takes 1,000 or 10,000 years. I will surely regain my body, accumulate cultivation, and return. I will not give up. Asterisk. 100 years pass. 100 years. Wu Wang. And after the span of 100 years. At last, I succeed in handling and separating chaos by will alone. Wu Wang. The chaos splits into the 3 planes, and qi flows out. I absorb the qi, replenish the nascent soul energy that has been exhausted for 100 years, and realize. It links with the star extinguishing true chapter. Indeed, a technique of handling chaos with pure will alone. Somehow, this touches something in the content of the star extinguishing true chapter. In the star extinguishing true chapter Hong Fan gave me, it is termed primordial origin, Shi Yuan. Originally, weather cutting principle, cutting self, and cutting other. The cultivation called cutting people must be cultivated through the power called primordial origin. But since I simply did not know what this power of primordial origin is, I have until now been cultivating by unorthodox methods. But now, I realize the method to handle the power of primordial origin. I see. In a way, is this chaos not the optimal space to cultivate the star extinguishing true chapter? Moreover, I now also know the method to split chaos into the 3 planes and extract qi. The nascent soul stage, the heavenly being stage cultivation are all possible. Let's restore the body, accumulate the realm, and cultivate the star extinguishing true chapter. If I do so, surely, even if I leave this world of primordial chaos, I will be able to take away a great many gains. Let's raise the realm, though that is the only thing I can do anyway. In any case, right now is the optimal situation in which I have no choice but to focus on elevating my realm. Thus, I decide to raise my realm with all my strength, and from that day I enter relentless tempering. Asterisk. 1,000 years pass. 1,000 years. In that time, I achieve many things. First, by extracting qi from the 3 planes, condensing it, and smelting and refining it for a long time. By referring to Yuan Li's blood-body creation method, I succeed in cultivating a body within pure qi. Up to there is exactly 100 years. Then, after creating a physical body, I let the nascent soul dwell in the body, and to reinforce and recover the nascent soul that has left the body and been directly exposed to chaos all that time, I spend another 100 years. And through 800 years, I at last reach the grand perfection nascent soul stage, and see immense progress as I cultivate the divine power of cutting principle. Now that I have, to some degree, acquired a knack for handling chaos, I create a spherical protective barrier centered on the body, protect the flesh from melting away in the chaos, and open my eyes. I can see more clearly now. For nearly 1,000 years, I delved deeper into the power of primordial origin and studied the star extinguishing true chapter. Before I knew it, I could see that there is also a net within this chaos. This net is not as stable as the ones I saw inside stable worlds such as the head realm or the bright cold realm. It can in fact be called the only rule that exists in this sea of chaos, where no rules exist. But it is still far off. I still cannot know everything about this net, and I still cannot perfectly grasp the regularity of the net within the sea of chaos. There is also another problem. Lifespan. Clearly, even though I am learning all sorts of powers and growing stronger in the sea of chaos, I am still at the nascent soul stage. My lifespan is steadily decreasing. In truth, this is not an immediate problem. I received the heavenly being advancement method from Mokli Qian Sa. If I advance to the heavenly being stage, I will be free from worrying about lifespan for a while. But the real problem is that I don't know how long I will drift in this space. It might not be on the scale of 1,000 years. I might have to remain another 10,000, 100,000 years. How much longer I must remain trapped here? I cannot even get a sense for it. If my lifespan ends during that time, I will end up spending this very lifetime entirely within this chaos. In truth, that does not particularly matter. Because even if I die, the one who returns is me. But the biggest problem is Hong Fan, the last connection I have not yet severed. Hong Fan must be searching for me. I must tell him that I am all right, and that there is nothing to worry about. I feel that only if I convey that one sentence will my heart be at ease. Heavens above, I softly call to the heavens. I please beseech you thus, if in you also there exists mercy and compassion, please, please. Quietly, with all my heart, I pray. To my last remaining friend in this lifetime, please plant comfort. As I pray so earnestly, I slowly make plans for what lies ahead. Thus, as I investigate this chaos, I struggle endlessly to delve into the net and to raise my realm. Since in the sea of chaos there is rather no heavenly tribulation, advancing to the heavenly being stage poses no problem at all. But the problem is that I don't know the realm formula after advancing to the heavenly being stage. I can no longer raise my realm to increase my lifespan. From the day I reach the heavenly being stage, I only cultivate the star-extinguishing true chapter, waiting slowly for my lifespan to run out. And at last, that day approaches. The flame of life is dying out. The body that has reached the heavenly being stage declines. Since a span of 2,000 years has passed, it is time for it to go out. Perhaps because this is the sea of chaos, I can't see the celestial energy, but I can infer it from the life force remaining within my body. I will soon die. Is this how it ends? Heavens above, I earnestly pray to the heavens. The heavens do not give an answer, yet I still earnestly do so. Please, let my friend be able to put his heart at ease, so that the one whose fate is to follow me does not worry, trying to seek me. Praying that my last connection's heart may be at peace. I thus watch the life of my body go out. ... And I do not die. Quote. Quote. The body's vitality is exhausted. But, my will drifts like duckweed within the chaos, and still remains alive. TSTSTSTST. Though a weakened body would melt into the chaos, a body tempered by the power of primordial origin does not decline. Only then can I escape one foolish misconception. This chaos is the outside of the world where I was in. The inside of the world. The power of the heavens that suppresses and records our lifespan does not fully reach here. Cooing. As I gain enlightenment, I separate chaos into 3 planes through the will of primordial origin, and from the separated 3 planes I condense chi and create a new body. Then I fill it with life force, enter once more, and raise my realm. The heavenly being stage is still the limit. But I can tell, now, is the oppression of the heavenly Tao, something I don't need to worry about. In this world, I now do not die. As long as I fill in as much life force as I want, I can live as much as I please. Realizing that, I ponder whether I should be glad about this or not. It's good, it's certainly good, and something to be grateful for. But, what should I cultivate now? The realm formulas I know of only go up to the heavenly being stage. For the time being, I don't know the cultivation formulas for the heavenly being stage and onwards. I can ignorantly accumulate energy, but even if I do that, the realm will not rise. If the realm does not rise, I just have to dig only into the power of primordial origin endlessly. But I dislike that. If I only do that, I will go mad. Raising the realm of immortal cultivation is necessary, if only for a ventilation of the mind. It is necessary to raise the stability of my spirit, to protect my mind. But at this rate, it is obvious I will go mad by only digging into the power of primordial origin. I dislike going mad. Since I once went mad at Ascension Path to reach ultimate pinnacle, I know how painful going mad is. What am I to do? I ponder for a long while, and suddenly, while making a gang sphere clone to play with, I realize something. The gang sphere clone tells me the answer. If quality is not enough, then I should do it with quantity. Together with the gang sphere clone, just like the integration stage grand cultivator, we Ryong Son, I saw in the early days of this life cultivating through countless clones. I split and split, and link them endlessly. Wu Wang, I apply the divine power of the 3 spirits art to the energy of the heavenly being stage body and chop it into fine parts. Splitting and splitting, as a result I split it into about 3,000. The body ultimately falls to the chi refining level. About 3,000 bodies at the chi refining level. I, while commanding the chi refining level bodies with the wonderfully mysterious innate heart cannon, start to slowly raise the bodies, realms. If quality is not enough, then with quantity. Even if I have to split. Thus, from that day, I have the clones cultivate with the goal of raising them to the heavenly being stage. Asterisk. 10,000 years pass. Before I know it, I command countless heavenly being stage bodies and investigate principle within the chaos. Through the 3 spirits art I made 3,000 clones. I raised each and every one of those clones all the way to the heavenly being stage. Then I split those clones that were raised to the heavenly being stage into 3,000 again. Then I repeated everything from the very beginning again. I already repeated that act 3 times. An unimaginably large number of heavenly being stage clones split again as they accumulate cultivation. I grow accustomed to handling chaos within chaos, and I gradually become used to seeing and interfering with the principle. At the same time, the power of primordial origin has also matured, so I can wield even more wonders. Refining chaos to create matter and the like is already something easily accomplished under my hand. Goo. Moreover, when countless heavenly being stage clones extend their consciousness all at once to control the chaos, I can, for a time, form a certain domain. It is the result of combining the star-extinguishing true chapter and the power of the heavenly being clones. They say upon reaching the integration stage one can form the integrated Tao domain. Am I now at a level corresponding to the integration stage? It seems likely so. Integration stage after 10,000 years. If it were the outside, it might have been something impossible. Even so, despite reaching such a hard-to-attain realm, I've recently felt a strong heart demon tormenting me. I want to die. 10,000 years. It's been 10,000 years. I, for 10,000 years, repeatedly created and split clones in this chaos where no one exists. Unable to even communicate with anyone. Gua. When I scream, the countless clones scream together. The scream of a single heavenly being is unimpressive, but the roar of clones that easily surpasses 10,000 is itself a powerful force no different from a spiritual energy wave. The divine power of cutting principle is now almost fully completed as well. If I proceed to the next step and cultivate the first layer of the star-extinguishing true chapter, I can surely obtain powerful strength and reach a high realm, but I cannot proceed to the next step. In a state where I cannot proceed to the next step, only the divine power matures. It's now possible to at times strike precisely, and at times manipulate Indra's net, this very principle called the law of causality. However, in this world of chaos, I absolutely cannot escape. I keenly feel that I am going mad. Just how long do I have to keep doing this? Bursting with mad ferocity, I yell. Please, let me get out of here, please. In truth, I know it too. There is one way out. The net of principle in the sea of chaos. The more I look at the law of causality, the more I see one powerful causal law remaining for me. A very powerful thread of connection left to me in this life. The connection with Hong Fan. If I only cut it with cutting principle, I feel that I can attain great completion of the early part of the star-extinguishing true chapter's first layer, and enter into some new realm. The heart demon whispers. Before my eyes, Seo Eun-yun in black clothes comes close with a sneer and mutters in my ear. Cut it off. It's a mere damn bug bastard anyway, who cares? You can just store it in the canvas of myriad forms and connections, then cut it easily like Mokli Cheon saw and go on to the next realm, right? He laughs. Sever the connection and stand alone. Become the devil. Awaken the devilish nature within you and quickly reach a high realm. If you do, you can surely leave this damned world quickly. Cut it. Cut the last remaining connection. And then, I speak. Stop spewing bullshit. The countless clones bury their faces in both hands and sob in the same posture as me. Do you think I will cut it? If the hearts of people connect, is that not an endless blessing? I won't cut it. Even if I can advance to the next stage of the star-extinguishing true chapter, I cannot sever what is truly precious. I only grit my teeth, ignore the words of the heart demon, and groan within the chaos. I am not your heart demon. You know that too. Forcing myself to ignore the words of the heart demon. I am you, the true devilish nature hidden within you. Entrust yourself to me, for we were one from the very beginning. Asterisk. 100,000 years pass. 100,000 years. A span of time long enough to exhaust the lifespan of the integration stage. Hog. Panting like a madman, I look at the net. Ehek. Ahahakakakakakakakak. Now I can see it. I can see the shape of the net. The net spreads wide across this sea of chaos, tracing a smooth curve. This sea of chaos does not lack rules. Along the net, it is forming something. Goo. Now, leading heavenly being stage clones that number in the hundreds of billions. I drift through chaos like white mist and start to fly to grasp the true nature of that something. Ehikikikikikikikik. Perhaps now, my madness may surpass even the Mad Lord. But even in the midst of that, even while the heart demon screams at me like crazy, scolds me, and at times even begs me, I feign madness, and to the very end I do not sever the one thread of connection. My weight class increases, but the realm of the star-extinguishing true chapter remains in the same place. In this realm where only cutting principle continues to mature, I fly through the chaos. Asterisk. 1,000,000 years. A span of 1,000,000 years passes. The chaos is vast, and although a far too long of a time passed trying to confirm what that something is, I still do not recognize what it is. However, I come to know one new thing. See, what did I say? The heart demon, with a sly face, grabs my shoulder, slings an arm around me, and laughs. If you sever the last connection, your true fate will help you. I am the devil, deeper and more abominable than being a heavenly fiend of the blood yin realm. The true devilish nature itself. That is my fate, as a result of tearing apart principle and causality over and over. At last, having even torn apart my own causality, that is the conclusion I have reached. You can go out. The moment you acknowledge your fate, attraction force will become strong and pull you in. Accept it. Accept it. The heart demon. No, the true me speaks. I cannot endure it any longer. I must go out. Squirm 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 squirm. The clones at the heavenly being stage that have entered the young, 10-16 scale no longer bother to maintain a human form. The heavenly being stage clones, at some point within the chaos, melted into forms similar to the chaos, overlapped with each other, stuck together, and became a huge mass centered on me. That's right. Now, things like heavenly being stage clones are no more than the level of cells to me. I've become a monster that is like a huge chunk of flesh, a monstrosity that can swallow and annihilate even stars in a single strike. I am already mad. If I am not to go mad any further, I must leave. Make a promise to the future. Recall Hong Fan's words. If you do not go out now and keep holding out here longer, there is no hope. Hope, hope. At the word hope, I violently shake the body layered with countless chunks of overlapping flesh. I am sobbing. Woo, I want to grasp hope. But, I cannot. Cut it. I mutter in pain. I endured for 1,000,000 years. On what foundation have I endured? It is because the cornerstone that supports me is what I also gave you. Because the greatest gift given to my life is a blessing that never collapses. Hong Fan is your last connection, and you say you will not follow his words. Hong Fan is surely wishing for you to become happy, yet are you ignoring his will? If it is Hong Fan, he will surely wish for you to become happy even if you sever the connection. Did Hong Fan not say so? I smiled toward the heart demon. He said, following the human heart, one seeks the root of the Tao. The heart of people touches the root of the Tao. The thread formed by the heart and heart is connection. I cannot, in a situation where I know nothing, sever it merely on circumstances. Always, when I severed a connection through cutting principle, I faced the other and cut. Even the chi building stage cultivator who became the test subject of the first cutting principle. Even Mokli Qian saw, even the bright cold realm. All of them I faced with these eyes and severed the connection. To sever a connection is an act as important as forming a connection. I cannot cut it without facing them. Unless I meet Hong Fan directly. Unless I directly convey my will to him. I will never, from my side, recklessly sever it. The heart demon. No, the true me makes a face like he is about to lose my mind and lets out a scream. You son of a beach. If you cut it, it becomes easy. Just why in the world? What has? Where? What part of you has broken down? I begin to grin. 1,000,000 years. It is only 1,000,000 years. Do you know this? In the eyes of one who is broken, only broken things are seen. After only a mere 1,000,000 years. Little by little, the heart demon has begun to go mad. I am not broken, only everything other than me is broken. Asterisk, 10,000,000 years. Ah, the time of 10,000,000 years has passed. At last, I confirm the form of the something. This place is the inside of the heavenly void furnace. At last, I realize. I am still inside the heavenly void furnace. Law of causality, Indra's net and the flow that is called the weaving of principle. The interior of the heavenly void furnace is woven in a similar flow. The moment I dozed off in the heavenly void furnace, my soul fell into this heavenly void furnace and suffered for endless eons. I see. From the beginning, this was its use. It grants endlessly long years to the being that enters the heavenly void furnace, and by the power of time itself, it inflicts pain and drives them mad. And when a certain period passes, it deletes all the memories of the being that has entered the heavenly void furnace and sends them back to the moment when they first entered the heavenly void furnace and spent a day. In other words, I spent 10,000,000 years in the heavenly void furnace. But not even a single day has passed outside. And at the moment when the certain period that is still not filled even with 10,000,000 years ends, the me up to now will have all memories deleted, and the me outside the heavenly void furnace will receive about 1 year's worth of cultivation experience through the torn-up traces of the memories of the me up to now. Was this a vicious devilish monster from the very beginning? I let out a silent murmur. And the heart demon that began to go mad and started to shut up from about 9 million years ago starts to raise its head again. Cut the connection. If not, the 10 million years you have walked will become meaningless. If you cut the connection, there is a way to go out while preserving this memory intact. Fate will help you. I let its words pass through 1 ear as I think and ponder. Is there no way? Can I not preserve the memory with the canvas of myriad forms and connections? Do I really have to follow the heart demon's words? Can I not pierce the heavenly void furnace with my own power and get out? I repeat countless worries and vexations. Like so, another 10 million years pass. In that enormous flow of time, I finally hit upon one method. I will not cut the connection. The heart demon now gives no answer, perhaps lacking the strength to respond to my words. No, perhaps it does answer, but since I kept ignoring it so much, I might not be hearing it. It doesn't matter much. I will also not discard the me of now. Same for the hope for the future. And the connections precious to me now as well. I discard neither. Because I am greedy, I will get both in my hands. Even if I use a method that sacrifices myself. Within the mad obsession tempered over an immeasurably long time, writhing the mass of flesh that now reaches a level comparable to a true immortal. I start to make an exit that escapes the rules of the heavenly void furnace. A long and longer time flows again. Asterisk, 30 million years. Asterisk, 40 million years. Asterisk, 50, 60, 70, 80 million years. Asterisk, 90 million years. Asterisk, 99,999,999 years. I see. The time inside the heavenly void furnace has a maximum of 100 million years. Of course, it does vary depending on the target or the conditions. But in any case, when it comes to imprisoning the mortal being Seo Unyun, 100 million years is the maximum. Inside the heavenly void furnace, I reach a realm corresponding to true immortality and keep investigating the heavenly void furnace itself for endless time. At last, I find one method to aim at a gap in the heavenly void furnace. If time passes like this, the me of now will be deleted. But the me outside, in the end knows nothing. Merely rejoicing that cultivation increased by about a year's worth, I will enter the heavenly void furnace again after some time. To the me who enters the heavenly void furnace again, no memory will be transmitted. And I will have to spend another 100 million years foolishly. I will transmit it. If I do so, surely, someday, a future that escapes the heavenly void furnace will open. Keying, I begin to compress my true body that has, before I knew it, is no longer a lump made of heavenly being stage clones but has become a transcendent existence through breathing in chaos itself. I infuse my lifelong wish and authority and twist part of the law of causality that composes the heavenly void furnace. And I engrave the traces of the existence called me here. Oh myself who enters next. Someday, please, may you find this. Goo 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 goo. A method that does not cut the connection, nor loses the me up to now. It is merely to transmit myself. Therefore, do not despair. Oh myself, I comfort the me who will come in here again in the future and be flustered. And change into a small lump of green light and turn into a tiny light mass that drifts within chaos. As if, changing into the same color as the Norige that Hyunghwa gave me. Therefore, dyed in green light, and making a promise with the next. I thus, cross 100 million years and at last escape from the world of the heavenly void furnace. Quote. Hong Fan, are you there? Yes, master. Was there anything unusual outside? No. I come out of the heavenly void furnace and approach Hong Fan, who is standing guard as my law protector outside. Let us go out for now. To check whether there is anything strange or not, I come out with Hong Fan to the surface of Ascension Path. And when I read the celestial energy of the sky to check the time, a day truly has passed without anything happening. Time is not particularly twisted, there is no earth-shaking change, and the spiritual nature of the heavenly void furnace has not flowed in. Rather, I observe a corner of my consciousness. A portion of my consciousness was torn away, to the point that it must be restored. It was torn away by quite a large margin. The degree of damage to my consciousness is more severe than I expected, to the point it seems I must operate the wonderfully mysterious innate heart cannon and recuperate for at least a month. My cultivation doesn't seem to have increased in particular either. Did my consciousness just get torn and that's it? What on earth is this? Just when I am clicking my tongue inwardly at the heavenly void furnace and am about to operate the formula of the star extinguishing true chapter to observe the net. Quote. Only then do I feel a change. Master, is there some change? Shiver. Goosebumps start to rise. What on earth is this? I went into the heavenly void furnace and meditated for a day. After coming out, I immediately try using the divine power of cutting principle and realize something. The cultivation divine power of the star extinguishing true chapter's first layer, cutting principle. A divine power that cuts principle. The cultivation progress of cutting principle has advanced as much as if I cultivated for a year. Only then do I realize how terrifying a divine artifact the heavenly void furnace is. Regardless of the rank of the method, if I simply go inside and meditate for a day, in exchange for consuming consciousness, it simply advances a year's worth of cultivation. The common cultivation methods are the 5 surpassing paths to cultivation sold in the marketplace. Even the immortal arts of a true immortal. As long as I spend about a day, this divine artifact pierces through a year's worth of cultivation progress equally for everything. That is the ability of the artifact called the heavenly void furnace. The moment I realize that, I feel my chest swell with hope. If it is this divine artifact, it is possible, within this lifetime, it is possible to sever the very connection with the true immortal of heavenly punishment and completely escape the curse of lightning transformation. Thus, after a month's time recovering my consciousness with the wonderfully mysterious innate heart canon, I enter the heavenly void furnace again with a joyful heart. It is the beginning of rapid cultivation. Chapter 793 Primordial Chaos 3. Hio, Hong Fan, are you there? Quote. I doze for a moment inside the heavenly void furnace and open my eyes. I can't feel the outside. Feeling puzzled, I go out to look, and I see a completely new world. Hio, what is this? What greets me outside the heavenly void furnace is a vast chaos. Wondering what is going on, I look toward the heavenly void furnace. But the heavenly void furnace has already disappeared. Hong Fan. At this bizarre phenomenon, I call for Hong Fan, but he does not answer. What is happening? From that day on, within this infinite, endless world of chaos, I howl and thrash about to escape. 100 million years pass. Hio, 100 million years. I compose my flesh from countless clone bodies, and before I knew it, I've become a gigantic existence approaching true immortality, and through the rank of such an existence I investigate the chaos and find out the secret of this world. And, only now can I finally find the traces of the previous me who remained in this heavenly void furnace. Wung, a sphere of green light, floating before my eyes. As I place my hand toward this strange lump of light like a firefly, memories and history about the first me flow in. Yes, this is not the first time. I also, before, that is, even when I first entered the heavenly void furnace, I once endured this hellish time. And then I forgot again. Even the me of now, who endured 100 million years, is soon to be forgotten. Cut it, letting the words of the heart demon inside me that earnestly begs to sever connection pass in one ear and out the next, my eyes gleam. From now on as well, the me outside the heavenly void furnace will forget everything again and use the heavenly void furnace every month. And as both the realm and the proficiency of the wonderfully mysterious innate heart canon gradually rises, the cycle of coming here will gradually shorten. I must stop it. In order to do so, it is first important that the selves of me who come here find the memories. Wo Wung, within the lump of green light before my eyes is me of the first heavenly void furnace. The idea of transmitting memories and history down to the later cycles is excellent, but in the end, only when almost 100 million years have passed, only when it is time to go out, has it come before me. At this rate, no matter how many times I come here, I'm only walking in place. I have to move the time forward, so that the me's who come later can receive the memories of the me's earlier. So that during the time called 100 million years, I don't simply raise my realm and weight class, cultivate the star-extinguishing true chapter, and investigate the secrets of this space, but find a way to leave this space. Keying, I begin to compress my own existence and essence, like the me of the first heavenly void furnace. I sacrifice everything, so that the me who will come in later generations can receive the succession of the previous me a little sooner. Thus, at last 100 million years are filled, and I go outside the heavenly void furnace. I enter the heavenly void furnace for the third time. In just 2 months, I already finished 2 years' worth of cultivation. My understanding of the divine power of cutting principle is gradually broadening. If it continues like this, I can completely nullify the curse within this lifetime. Thinking so, I call for Hong Fan. Quote. Hong Fan, are you there? Quote. However, Hong Fan gives no answer, and I go outside. This is. Endless chaos unfolds. What on earth is happening here? As my whole body melts inside the endlessly raging chaos, I begin to scream. 99,999,990 years. Wing. Creating countless heavenly being stage clones and reaching a realm corresponding to true immortality, I realize the truth of this heavenly void furnace and discover something inside. This is. They are 2 clusters of green light that revolve together, spinning round and drawing an endless circle. Receiving a very familiar feeling from those clusters of light. I can tell that these clusters of light have waited for me across a long and longer time. Wo Wang. I reach out my hand to those clusters of light. And as I read the wisdom and history contained inside the clusters of light, I now understand that this heavenly void furnace is a terrifying trap. Time passes, and the time has come for me, the me of the third heavenly void furnace, to go out. I sacrifice myself and melt down my entirety like the previous 2 clusters of light. Starting from the next, it will be different. According to the method devised by the me of the second heavenly void furnace, the later me's will gradually inherit my memories and history faster. I fill all the time, and at last, I exit the heavenly void furnace. Wu Wang. Recently, my attainment in the wonderfully mysterious innate heart canon has also increased. My consciousness has been grievously damaged and restored several times. Thanks to that, it seems the wonderfully mysterious innate heart canon has also begun to evolve. If it continues like this, the wonderfully mysterious innate heart canon will also become quite powerful, and someday the recovery cycle of consciousness might speed up to the level of a single day. If it becomes like that, I can accumulate cultivation even faster. I realize that I am gradually entering the heavenly void furnace with an even more excited heart. It truly is a tremendous divine artifact. This heavenly void furnace. Wu Wang. Entering the heavenly void furnace and meditating, even dozing for a moment, I complete the meditation. After that, I call for Hong Fan in a tone that is now becoming habitual. Hong Fan, are you there? Quote. There is no reply. Feeling puzzlement, I go outside the heavenly void furnace and can see an immense world of chaos. What on earth? But without even having time to grasp the situation, I feel my whole body melting away inside the chaos and scream. Kuog. It's melting. My entire body is transforming into all sorts of bizarre things and disappearing. At that moment, shwang. From beyond that distant chaos, 3 green lights fly in and surround me. What on earth? However, although those clusters of light like fireflies coil around my nascent soul, that is all. Other than coiling and revolving around with me as the center, they give no help at all. Damn it, this isn't giving any help at all. In the end, without receiving their help, I barely unfold the canvas of myriad forms and connections and prevent myself from being annihilated. As I use the power of the canvas of myriad forms and connections, at least the chaos does not erode me. I protect my nascent soul with a pale mist and contemplate what this bizarre world of chaos is, and what the 3 clusters of green light revolving with me at the center are. For now, they don't seem harmful. The green clusters of light do not give me help, but at the same time they also do not harm me. Watching them there, I faintly feel my heart settle. It feels, somehow, similar to the canvas of myriad forms and connections itself. But that is all. Other than bringing a little calmness to my heart, there is nothing. For now, let's learn about this sea of chaos. Thus, I leave those green clusters of light alone for the time being and explore the sea of chaos. 99,999,900 years pass. Before I know it, I achieve a rank corresponding to true immortality by using countless clone bodies. And before I know it, I realize, after piercing through about 100 million years of time, that at last I have obtained the authorization to view these green clusters of light. They are lights that one can view only upon reaching true immortality. What are you? At the end of a long and longer spam, I barely obtain the right to peruse these clusters of light and begin to view them. And at last, I learn the truth. I see. Goo. 3 light clusters. About 300 million years worth of memories and history surge in all at once, and I spend a little over 10 years to accept and arrange them. Oh me's of before, have you decided to establish, one by one, the rules applied to this space by sacrificing yourselves? The goal of the me's is clear. By sacrificing the existence of me's comparable to true immortality one by one, we engrave rules into the heavenly void furnace one by one. The rule left by the me of the first heavenly void furnace. One can leave traces within the heavenly void furnace by sacrificing oneself. With this, including him, the later me's could come to sacrifice themselves here and accumulate rules. The rule left by the me of the second heavenly void furnace. The traces left in the heavenly void furnace gather together. With this, from the second me onward, instead of the memories left by me's drifting here and there in this primordial chaos inside the heavenly void furnace, it only becomes necessary to find the ones that are gathered in one place and are orbiting the rule left by the me of the third heavenly void furnace. The traces gathered in the heavenly void furnace fly to the me of now, through attraction force. Because of that, from the very beginning of entering the heavenly void furnace, the 3 green memories flew in and clung to me. Thanks to that, I could save far more time than wandering around looking for the memories. Moreover, the subtle stability the memories gave truly has been a great comfort all that time. And now, it is my turn. Sacrifice the me of now, and add one more rule. Kurururung. I offer up everything I have accumulated within the heavenly void furnace for roughly 100 million years. And, in return, I add one rule. The 4th rule, lower the qualification of viewing authorization that exists in the green traces. Until now, all the me had to reach a realm similar to the previous me in order to peruse the memories left by the previous me. But from now on, that will not be so. Even if one reaches a slightly lower realm, from now on, they will be able to peruse the memories and inherit the enlightenment and wisdom left by the previous me's. Suet, sacrificing all that is mine, I thus prepare to leave the heavenly void furnace. The 5th entry into the heavenly void furnace. These days, for some reason, the gaze with which Hong Fan looks at me has become odd. Is it a bit distasteful to him that I keep relying on artifacts to increase my cultivation? But it cannot be helped. If I am to sever the influence of the heavenly punishment through immortal, there is no other way. Pachijijik. Even now, my internal organs here and there are being transformed into lightning, and I feel that influence gradually growing stronger. At this rate, even if I regress, I will only get devoured by the heavenly punishment through immortal. It cannot go on like this. I must, in this life without fail, sever the influence of the true immortal. I steel my resolve and begin meditating in the heavenly void furnace. Still, I gained great attainment in the wonderfully mysterious innate heart canon. This time, instead of a month, I spent only about 22 days. I've come without using a whole month. If I keep letting my consciousness be torn away and then recover it on repeat, before long, the wonderfully mysterious innate heart canon will advance greatly. The wonderfully mysterious innate heart canon is the best method that strengthens consciousness and spirit. If it continues like this, it will also help me enter the mid-nascent soul stage. I am already at the early nascent soul stage, having formed the yin spirit. If my consciousness now evolves, I will complete the yang spirit as well and reach the mid-nascent soul stage where the yin-yang spirit unifies. My talent is not that great, but if I accumulate slowly, someday, I will be able to behold the great Tao. Thinking so, I meditate in the heavenly void furnace and doze for a moment. Hong Fan, are you there? I open my eyes and come out of the heavenly void furnace, and, melting from the chaos, I let out a scream. Kuog. At the same time, 4 green streaks of light fly in from within the chaos. Thus, from that day on, I devote my whole body to unraveling the identity of the 4 green streaks of light and the secret of this world of chaos. Blink. I come out of the heavenly void furnace. Before I know it, about 100 years have passed since I began cultivating in the heavenly void furnace. During it all, how many times has my consciousness been torn and ripped? During it all, how many times have I repeatedly restored my consciousness? Before I know it, my achievement in the wonderfully mysterious innate heart canon has leapt far ahead, and at this rate I feel I can rise smoothly to the mid-nascent soul stage. Wo Wang. However, the most important thing is not that. The time in which I have cultivated the wonderfully mysterious innate heart canon is now 100 years. Now, even if my consciousness is torn after entering the heavenly void furnace, I can recover and enter again in about a day. As a result, I go in and out of the heavenly void furnace constantly, and the accumulated cultivation experience in cutting principle I have built up has reached an immense level. Consciousness compresses. Consciousness compresses into a straight line and becomes, according to my will, Indra's net. It reaches the same level as the principle that forms the law of causality itself. Now, Shikagagagic, I can lay my hands on it directly. It's become possible to truly strike principle itself. When I strike one of the principles of the head realm, a southwesterly wind instantly blows across the entire head realm. When I strike principle again with cutting principle, the southwesterly wind blowing through the head realm dies down and the course of the wind shifts to the northeast. Shikagagagic. When I touch principle once more, dark clouds cover this entire ascension path, and rain falls and wind begins to blow. The true art of calling wind and summoning rain. This, perhaps, is exactly what should be called a true immortal art. If it's me now, I recall Sio Waol from the last life. Sio Waol's 5 blessings axes. If it's now, I can defeat Sio Waol too. If I directly strike the domain of principle, Sio Waol will have no way to endure. When I recall the bitter life and death struggle I waged with that guy in the 15th cycle, a chill runs down my spine on its own. As my heart desires, I want to ascend right away and punish Sio Waol, but I prepare cutting principle again upon the surface of ascension path. For now, this comes first. Keying, I've become able to strike principle itself. Now, what remains is Kurururung, to cut the connection with heavenly punishment. Jjayong, Indra's net. Among them, among the threads of connection linked with me, I see a huge and vicious thread of connection. It is so thick that rather than a thread, it is closer in size to a dock hawser. The power of that connection is filled with thunder and lightning, and it somehow seems closely related to Indra's net itself. It is the curse that the true immortal of heavenly punishment gave me. The divine power of cutting principle rushes toward that rope. Kong, the divine power of disconnection and the will of heavenly punishment collide. Urung, thunder rumbles from the sky. Thunderclaps fill the surroundings. Weather shifts, and celestial energy twists. From here on, it begins. At the same time, the thread of connection with heavenly punishment that I lashed with cutting principle starts spewing immense lightning and begins to affect reality. Kurururung, from within the black clouds, gathered in the sky, lightning falls. It is not during realm advancement, nor have I done some heaven-defying act. Even so, heavenly tribulation falls. Kwakijijijijik. I block the heavenly tribulation with the formless sword, and I press the divine power of cutting principle even harder toward the connection of heavenly punishment. Kurururung. The more I do so, the stronger the intensity of the heavenly tribulation becomes, and I add power by adding Azure Wing Heavenly Shatter and General Seo's beam cannon onto the formless sword. Don't make me laugh, but even that is only for a moment. Gradually, the intensity of the heavenly tribulation falling from the sky grows stronger, and boasting hideous might, it starts shaving away at the formless sword and my other powers. I will not lose. Kurururung. Unlike ordinary lightning, heavenly tribulation falls from the sky like rain. Therefore, unlike other lightning, heavenly tribulation possesses weight. Jjayong. By the weight of the heavenly tribulation, my body gradually sinks below the ground. Udududuk. When I use earth element spells to compact and harden the ground itself collapses. By the heat of the heavenly tribulation, the mounds of earth in the area become glass. Gua. Gradually, the formless sword collapses under the lightning, Azure Wing Heavenly Shatter collapses, and General Seo overloads and breaks. Heavenly tribulation drives directly into my flesh. The body of the Azure Spirit Starlight Quintessence Great Method, and the puppet circuit of General Seo engraved upon it, receive the power of the lightning. Modified by me and made into a heaven and earth dual cultivation method, the Azure Spirit Starlight Quintessence Great Method does not easily crumble even as it meets heavenly tribulation. I grit my teeth, enduring pain as if my entire body burns away by the heavenly tribulation. Lightning energy penetrates and twists the blood vessels throughout my body. Under the overwhelming lightning, my eyes roll back as if I'm about to lose consciousness, and I barely hold on. No matter what, I will cut it. Keying. Cutting principle slices away the connection of heavenly punishment. And then, at some moment, Kijijijik, the thread of cutting principle, digs into a part of the connection of heavenly punishment. Flash. But at that moment, the energy of the heavenly tribulation surges madly and crashes down. The lightning calamity engulfs me, and in the next moment I lose consciousness. Chiak. At the same time as I lose consciousness, the divine power of cutting principle scatters as is. Only after the divine power of disconnection disperses do I feel the heavenly tribulation stop. Did I fail to cut it? Even as I grow faint, I check Indra's net and close my eyes. But, I definitely failed to cut it. However, the connection with the true immortal of heavenly punishment engraved upon Indra's net. It definitely bears a faint scratch. I can cut it. If I use the heavenly void furnace, I will definitely be able to cut it. Holding on to that hope, I close my eyes and pass out. Quote. Hong Fan, is that you? I open my eyes and ask the one carrying me on his back. My internal injuries from the heavenly punishment still have not healed, and my mind is hazy. Yes, Master. Where are we going? We are on the way to the heavenly void furnace. Please also heal your internal injuries inside it. Internal injuries. Yes. The heavenly void furnace is a divine artifact that, when one enters and sleeps for a day, guarantees a year of cultivation. In that case, if Master operates a spell to heal your internal injuries and takes a short sleep, would it not naturally be regarded as having recuperated for a year? Before long, Hong Fan enters the cave chamber at the center of Ascension Path and stands before the heavenly void furnace. Certainly, that makes sense. I nod and, swaying, climb down from Hong Fan's back. Certainly, it is good for healing as well. Thank you. Then I shall heal inside. That is a good idea. And Master, there is one thing I wish to ask. Master. Hong Fan draws a breath for a moment and, with a subtle weight in his tone, asks. Master, you are cultivating cutting principle, are you not? That is right. Even if your cultivation experience increases through the heavenly void furnace, to go properly to the next stage of the star extinguishing true chapter, is there not one last thing to cut? Quote. I realize what Hong Fan is trying to say and come to my senses. Why have you still not cut the connection with me? Quote. You are asking the obvious. Is that not because you, before being anything like my demon beast or subordinate, are no different from my friend? Quote. At my words, Hong Fan seems to let out a faint sigh. Is it only for that? Just for that? Are you saying you have not even once tried to sever it during all that time inside the heavenly void furnace? I don't understand what he means by all that time inside the heavenly void furnace. But I have something to say to the claim that it is only for that. Only, you say, haha, the world is made of countless onlys. I recall the principle of understanding before breakthrough that I learned from Cheongmin Ryong. With countless efforts, barely threading together a single principle of a spell, and with that, accumulating your skill one by one. That is understanding before breakthrough. Effort, at first, is nothing. But as time passes, it accumulates, and its size and value swell. From the many teachers of my life, I have learned that the connections of people are likewise made of onlys. Even after discovering the tool called the heavenly void furnace, there is no need to sever a precious connection just to cultivate. I will cultivate in my own way. Quote. For some reason, Hong Fan lets out a sigh. You have cut, yet have not cut. Even if I tell you to cut the thread of connection and you do cut it, by storing it in the canvas of myriad forms and connections, you will make it no different from not being cut. Quote. Then, Master, if my putting Master into the heavenly void furnace is for some stratagem, at that time, will Master cut the connection with me? For it means having an ill connection between us. I don't understand the words, so I look at Hong Fan. What does that mean, that putting me into the heavenly void furnace is a stratagem? Is it not instead a favor? Ha ha, perhaps if Master goes inside and meditates, you will come to understand. I do not quite know, though. In any case, if we suppose that that heavenly void furnace is a kind of trap and that the one who dug that trap is me, what would Master do? A trap you say. But the one who told me to enter that heavenly void furnace is the lingering thought of Yang Su Jin. If we suppose that is Hong Fan's stratagem, does it not mean Hong Fan is a transcendent being who can even manipulate the lingering thought of Yang Su Jin at will? If such a transcendent being is Hong Fan, and Hong Fan has been toying with me, I think hard over it and open my mouth. Hearing only that, I cannot make a judgment. I need to know what circumstances you have, and for what cause you intend to betray me, in order to judge anything. At my words, Hong Fan seems to stroke his beard, then nods. Then, if you come to know my situation well, do you mean you would be able to judge my ruse? It would seem so, would it not? Quote. I see. Hong Fan seems to nod. And then, he opens his mouth again. As expected, it is best that I tell you now. Just one thing. Will you hear a story? A story. Yes. I slowly enter the heavenly void furnace, lean my body against the inner wall of the heavenly void furnace, and hear the voice of Hong Fan who begins the story from outside. It is a story about the fairy tales spread throughout this world. Master must have seen them a few times as well. Ah, I know them. Are you speaking of those tales that contain the lesson that sincerity moves the heavens? I immediately recall those tales I saw in the Cheongman clan's archives and ask. Yes, that is right. Yes, they are things I read with some enjoyment. They are didactic, and do they not all end with good endings? Quote. Good ending, huh? Hong Fan somehow seems to laugh self-mockingly. Quote. Old stories are originally cruel. But reality can be even more cruel. By any chance, have you ever looked up the original text? Original text? Are the ones I saw not the original text? I feel puzzled, but at Hong Fan's words that, old stories are originally cruel, I recall the stories I saw. Even if the middle has cruel parts, the endings are not cruel. If so, what I saw is not the original text that Hong Fan speaks of. It seems I have not. You have not, you say. Ha ha, he chuckles heartily, then opens his mouth in a voice like a grandfather telling old tales. Inside the heavenly void furnace, Hong Fan's voice resounds. Then I shall tell you. The original text I know, goes like this. First, the protagonists of those stories are all one person. Ho, from Hong Fan's mouth, the story about the original text of the tales I saw flows out. Chapter 1. The story of a boy who brings a carp in winter for his mother. They say the boy did not save his mother. When he got the carp and returned home, his mother was already dead, whether frozen to death in the cold winter or starved to death, no one knows. Chapter 2. The story of a blind man who prays to the heavens again and again and regains his sight. The boy who lost his mother, even in that situation, was hungry, and ate the carp, fell ill, and his eyes rotted away. Though he prayed to the heavens did not answer. The heavens did not answer. Because there is a part one empathize with. My chest feels tight, so he tried to live by joining forces with his leg-crippled friend, but the leg-crippled friend betrayed the eye-crippled boy, stole the mother's keepsakes, and, caught trying to sell them to a merchant, was killed by the eye-crippled boy. In the end, not receiving an answer from the heavens, the eye-crippled learned, by his own talent, the way to feel the flow of heaven and earth and to sense people's hostility, coming to know the world. Quote. As I listen to the explanation of the original text of those fairy tales, I feel a strange sensation. Did he become a peak master? It is a fairy tale that is more realistic than I expected. As I listen to Hong Fan, it feels as if this is not merely a fairy tale but someone's written account. Chapter 3. The story of a husband who, when his wife falls ill with a fatal disease, lights fire on the tip of his finger to cure her illness. The eye-crippled also became an adult. Wandering from village to village holding the knife with which he had killed his friend, he met a woman driven out for having leprosy, had his heart stolen, was loved, and married. Wanting to cure the leprosy, he roamed all the mountains and rivers, sought a way to cure leprosy, heard that if one lights fire beacons Feng Huo Bonghua on 5 mountain peaks the disease would be cured, searched and searched for the mountain peaks but could not find them, and returned home. But the moment he returned home, the house where the wife with leprosy lived was burned by thieves, and even as he burned his own hands he failed to save his wife and went mad. Quote. Why is it? Why is it? The moment I hear Hong Fan's words, Sok Village rises powerfully in my mind. The older sister of the girl from Sok Village. The woman who went to work at a noble house, keeps circling in my head for some reason. Why? But no matter how much I think, I cannot find the reason, and Hong Fan's story continues. Chapter 4. The story of a poor old man who gets a goblin cap and becomes rich. Thus he went mad, and at the same time gained the enlightenment of being forgotten by the world. In a state unseen by anyone, he went around killing people. Even people, monsters, spirits, and goblins. Whatever stood before him, all of them. Record of transcending cultivation and exhausting martial arts. Somehow, what the protagonist of Hong Fan's story obtained seems like a principle similar to the record of transcending cultivation and exhausting martial arts. But as I think, I realize there is a method even more similar than the record of transcending cultivation and exhausting martial arts. Star extinguishing true chapter. The star extinguishing true chapter is also a method of cutting connections with everyone and being forgotten. In a way, it seems closer to the boy's way in the original text of that story than the record of transcending cultivation and exhausting martial arts. No, not just seems close. If it is that boy, he surely learned the star-extinguishing true chapter. Chapter 5. The story of a child who, driven from his hometown by schemes of a fox sister, met the Dragon King, heard the method to appease the fox sister, returned, and reconciled with the fox sister. The man who began to grow old met a fox. When the fox disguised herself as his wife and appeared before him, he thought, for the first time, that a miracle descended and rejoiced. Though he himself knew it was not real, even so he soothed his madness by believing it to be real. To the point that even if the fox set him up as her henchman and destroyed a nation, a continent, a star, he followed. There was no problem until the sacred Dragon King told him the truth. Even when the Dragon King told him the truth, if only the fox, suspicious of the eye crippled, had not dug up the wife's grave and threatened him. It could have been a good ending. The eye crippled split the fox apart into pieces and tore the body to shreds. Star. At the depiction that the martial arts of the protagonist in the original text of the fairy tale seems to become ever more unfathomably high, I feel something strange. And, for some reason, at the same time as I hear the words about the fox, the image of the girl in Soak Village holding a storybook rises strongly before my eyes. What is this? Chapter 6. The story of an old man at the end of his lifespan who offers rituals to the heavens 1,000 times and extends his lifespan. Before long, the old man's lifespan also ran out, and he offered a ritual to the heavens. He linked countless stars to stars, and with that he drew a formation and performed a ritual. By the time I hear the 6th story, for some reason I feel unbearably sleepy. Hong Fan's voice buzzes and hums, as if it rings from some far-off place. It was not a ritual to extend lifespan. Just a ritual begging, and begging, for his next life to stop making him miserable. The ritual did not come true. Why would the lofty heavens have any interest in such a mere bug? The eye crippled, only wasted his time for nothing, and ended up croaking like that. This is the original text of the story. I hear all the originals of the stories up to chapter 6. However, I remember that the story has about one more chapter. Chapter 7, the story where the luckless child meets the Jade Emperor and goes to ask why he is without luck. I'm sleepy, so let's hear about it tomorrow outside the heavenly void furnace. That's what I try to say. But my mouth does not open. In the end, I cannot even part my lips inside the heavenly void furnace, and I pass out and enter meditation. And into my ear as I lose consciousness, Hong Fan's voice comes. Chapter 7, the eye crippled thus, performed the ritual and died. And, the eye crippled opened his eyes again. On the very morning of the day his mother passed away. That is right, that was the eye crippled's first return, Wei Gui. Quote. Hong Fan, are you there? Quote. I open my eyes inside the heavenly void furnace. For some reason, the upper opening of the heavenly void furnace looks bright. No answer comes, and I go outside the heavenly void furnace. At that moment, Hiok, it is cold, countless cold waves are raging. I am wearing worn-out straw shoes and frayed clothes, in the middle of leaving the house. When I look back, inside the house that is about to collapse, Mother is coughing. Fish. I want to eat fish. Yes, Mother, I will bring it to you. Please endure just a little. I close the door and, piercing through the blizzard, go to the riverside. Huck, my breath puffs out. What was that just now? Just now it felt like I had a strange dream. Ping. Quote. In that instant, a light like a green firefly flies before my eyes, then enters into my chest. I blink, and soon I realize I saw wrong. I've gone so long without eating that I'm seeing things. Throb. For some reason, after I see that green light, odd words like heavenly void furnace, chaos, the me of before flicker and fade from my head. But that is not important now. I hurriedly rush to the riverside. Fish. But even if I try to catch fish, the river is frozen solid, so I cannot catch anything. Decide quickly. I don't fidget my feet foolishly. If there is no method, I have to make one. I draw in a full breath, then take off my clothes and, with my bare body, cling to the ice at the riverside and start melting the ice. I widen the interval between inhalation and exhalation. I lead my breathing to the dantian, and I send the strength carried in the breath through the 4 limbs and 100 joints to make heat. From long ago, I became adept at methods of controlling breath and making the body healthy or raising heat through it. It is cold enough to die, but when I regulate my breathing and make heat in my body, it changes from, so cold I could die, to, so cold I could go crazy, so it is fine. I plan to melt the ice as is, catch fish, and give it to mother. But at that moment, quagwagwong, suddenly the ice in the area I am melting splits. I let out a short scream and fall into the icy water, and in that instant, the cold ice water enters my nose and mouth and blocks my breathing. With my breathing blocked, I fall into panic, and heat does not get generated in my body. As a result, I lose consciousness for a very brief moment. Asterisk. It feels like I am dreaming. In the dream, I feel countless green lights fly and cling to me. The green lights each carry a rule and memories. Countless rules tangle roughly together. And at last, they complete the memories of the existence called me, and succeed in transmission. I finally find my memories again. Ah, not only the memories, but the energy and authority contained in the countless green lights are all absorbed. And they make me into an existence like a true immortal. This place is the heavenly void furnace. I realize that the chaos in this prison changed into some story and dragged my mind into the story. Why did such stories suddenly appear inside the heavenly void furnace? In an instant, by the transmission of the swarm of green lights, I recover all the memories and authority of the me until now, and before long I gain insight into what situation this is. I see. Hong Fan. It is Hong Fan. By telling me a story, he activated the stories, dissolved in the chaos inside the heavenly void furnace. Through the words Hong Fan spoke before I entered the heavenly void furnace. At last, I realize who was the true culprit who made me enter this heavenly void furnace. Are you the one who pushed me into this place and gave me pain? If so, the reason this story suddenly appeared before me, and who the protagonist of this story is can also be inferred through Hong Fan. The protagonist of that story is Hong Fan. Hong Fan. At first, I feel a sense of betrayal, but recalling the words I myself said to Hong Fan before entering the heavenly void furnace, I close my eyes. I understand. Then, I will watch your story. Just why did Hong Fan push me into this place? Just what kind of life has Hong Fan lived? If I know that, will I forgive Hong Fan, or fail to forgive him and cut my connection with him? I myself do not know. All I can do is only immerse myself in Hong Fan's story, activated within the chaos of the heavenly void furnace. 100 years in real time since I began using the heavenly void furnace. Hundreds of billions of years of suffering inside the heavenly void furnace. At the end of that time that seems like eternity, I begin for the first time to view the story about Hong Fan's previous life. And I am drawn into his story. Chapter 794 Primordial Chaos 4. It is cold. The moment he recalls that, the boy bursts out of the water. Cough, cough, spitting out the water, he looks around with blank eyes. Up. Naturally, he warms his body through the breathing he has been doing his whole life and expels the cold water in his lungs. At the same time, he activates his brain, sorts his memories, and grasps his surroundings. Tuck, tuck. The boy taps his head a few times, then, through the subtlety of issuing force, even drains the water that has gotten into his ears. He then rises from where he is, and only then does he recognize what situation he is in now. The past. The eye crippled who had become an old man connected countless stars to make an altar and performed a long ritual, praying that if there is a next life, to please let him not be unhappy, and then died. And the one who was the eye crippled, after death, regressed to that single moment of his childhood when he was drowning in the water. Now, the eye crippled who has become a boy makes a quick judgment. There is no leisure to fall into sentiment. Up. He draws a breath again and, through breathing, takes perfect control of his whole body. Then he burns the life force in his body and, for an instant, dashes somewhere at a speed a 7-year-old child can never produce. Part of his lifespan is shaved off by the excessive movement, but that is none of the boy's concern. Right now is the time to act. The place the boy reaches by moving at a transcendent speed is the shabby thatched house where he lives with his mother. The boy flings the door open and runs to his mother. He quickly takes his mother's pulse and does what he did not manage to do before the regression. Tuck, tuck, tuck. He pricks points all over his mother's body and activates her life force. He knows as many ways to kill a person as one could want. In the first life, just how many people died by his hand? The structure of the human body and the principle of life and such are not difficult. He cut, he split, he sliced, and it was just not once or twice that he rummaged through the skin. And before long, the boy's mother looks at the boy and smiles. Child, my baby. Yes, mother, I am here. The boy holds his mother's hand tight and speaks in a trembling voice. His mother's eyes regain life and affection and will stand in her gaze. It is cold outside. You must go about warmly. Yes, mother, I will dress warmly. Good, my baby, you even listen, well. The boy's mother, having finished speaking, looks at the boy with loving eyes and closes her mouth. Whoosh, a cold wind blows from outside. The boy lowers his head. Though he tried to activate her life force by opening points, it was already too late. In the end, all the boy accomplished through regression is nothing more than staying by his mother's deathbed and hearing her last words. The result does not change. The boy knows this too. In the first life, even transcendents who dominate the entire cosmic great desolation trembled with fear before the boy and poured out countless wisdoms. Even the rulers of the galaxies where innumerable stars and stars gather, and the mighty divine spirits who devour those entire galaxies. The divinities who spend and adjust the lifespans of humans and other living spirits. All of them kneeled before him, stricken with fear, and answered everything he was curious about. In the last life, the boy even had the chance to transcend life, death, and lifespan itself, becoming a divinity of the pantheon like other divinities and transcendents. Since the herald of the chief god, the one who rules the cosmic great desolation he lives in, even proposed to him the seat of the god of war, he could have become an undying, everlasting being as much as he pleased. However, he threw all of that away with his own hands, and in just one corner of the infinite astral realm, he made an altar out of starlight and kept praying without end until he died. Even if he becomes an undying being, the pain he received in that life, the misfortune, the sorrow and grief, he knew they could never be repaid. He wanted to erase the very existence called himself, become nourishment for the beings after himself, and live as a completely new being. The first principle of history. History that has passed does not return. The past absolutely does not change. Even if there is a being who turns back time. Even in the time that has passed, history repeats. That is the knowledge he obtained while he slaughtered and captured countless divinities and transcendents during the first life. If it is going to be like this, then why on earth did you send me back? The boy, letting out a grievous groan towards some vague someone who would have sent him back to the past, sobs with choking sounds before his mother's corpse. Even the god-killer who killed countless gods in the past life cannot change the flow of history that was once carried out. Even if it is merely the matter of lengthening a little the lifespan of a mother who is only immortal. The first day of returning to the past. The boy who was an eye crippled feels to the bone the realization that he cannot turn back the time that has gone by. After holding his mother's funeral, the boy slowly begins to recover the cultivation he accumulated in the past. A power that overturns the world by willpower. A secret art that, through such powers, completely separates himself from the world so that he does not receive the influence of the world's laws, and allows him to wield miracles. Star extinguishing true chapter, revised. Darkness world. The boy's hearing, taste, touch, and smell are sealed, and the sixth sense that all living beings have. Even the sixth sense is sealed. He focuses his mind on the consciousness of intent, called the seventh sense, and grasps the structure of the world at once. The law of causality shaped like a net enters his sight, and the boy cuts some of the causal laws around him and inhales them. Having devoured a portion of causal laws, the boy reorganizes the world's principles applied to himself, leaves the house, and walks slowly along the road. In the boy's hand is held his mother's keepsake, a mother of pearl hairpin. He walks and walks slowly, heading somewhere. It is to the neighboring village beyond the mountain. He goes to the market of the neighboring village beyond the mountain and meets a person he met in the first life. Ha, spare a coin, for this wretch's sake, at least, spare just a coin. Since he sealed his hearing, his ears do not hear, but while detecting the vibrations of the law of causality that are heard by the seventh sense, the boy looks at the face of the leg crippled begging before his eyes. Was it such a face? He perches in front of the leg crippled and speaks to him. Hey, you, ego, young master, please, spare just a coin for this wretch. The boy thinks. The flow of history does not change. But, the boy lost all senses, but unlike the last life, he did not lose sight. He also heard his mother's last words, and he stayed by her deathbed. Though he could not protect his mother herself. A little, if it is just a very little, might it change. Holding a small hope, he recalls before the regression. He recalls the first life. That time when the leg cripple amicably calls the blind boy who cannot see and said to be friends. It was not an attitude like serving a master as now. Let's be friends. I will become your legs. Looking at the old connection, the boy, holding a faint hope that perhaps a person can change, makes him an offer. The leg-crippled boy stares at him blankly and then asks a question. Why do you? Why someone like me, a beggar? I am a beggar too. I will carry you on my back and go around together, so let's go around begging together. How about it? But, you look like you have no discomfort anywhere in your body. Why do you want to go around with a cripple, like me? The boy recalls the leg crippled before the regression. He tried to sell off the keepsake of the boy's mother to a merchant, got caught, and was torn to death by the boy. Was that because this guy is innately evil? Or was it something that could have changed depending on circumstances? I too was blind before. What? But the boy smiles faintly and says, I prayed to Lord Heavens, and prayed again, and guess what? Lord Heavens gave me back my eyes. What? So, I want to become friends with you. Travel together with me and let's pray together to Lord Heavens. So that your legs can heal again. He smiles faintly and hoists the crippled friend onto his back. At the first kindness he ever feels in his life, the leg crippled seems flustered for a moment, then soon starts to heave on the boy's back. Cuck, kkeuk. The leg crippled is crying. It must be because emotions surged up before he even knew it. As the boy listens to the leg crippled's heartbeat and the ripple of his soul, he realizes the leg crippled is truly moved. Stay with me. Even if Lord Heavens does not hear our prayers, I will fix your legs. The boy thinks about the reason he returned to the past. Even thinking again, he does not know the exact principle. However, one guess he can make is that, as he committed killing and slaughter up to now, the footwork and techniques he studied to kill others even better seemed to cross some limit and feel like crossing time. Another guess is the altar he connected stars to make is an altar he saw at a place in a secret cave where the brazier was, where he discovered the star-extinguishing true chapter. The function of that altar is an altar for making wishes. It is an altar with a tale written that if one prays to God at that altar, God will grant the wish. The wish he prayed at that altar may have been fulfilled in this form. Lastly, the moment he died, he felt the will of some transcendent being come to him, caresses his soul, and something inside himself awaken. He does not know which of the three made him return to the past. But one thing is clear. Time that has passed does not return. The flow of the past also cannot be changed. But, if it is a small thing, for example, keeping sight by giving up another sense in place of his eyes, staying by at his mother's passing, or things like the first meeting with the leg-crippled friend being subtly different. Fate itself cannot be changed, but the form of the connection can be different. If they are small things, maybe I can change them. He still cannot know the principle, but the boy's regression likely originates from his own wish that he not be unhappy. In this life, can I be saved? Can he receive recompense for the unhappy first life? The boy holds hope, and this leg-crippled friend is the first test subject for him. He begs together with the leg-crippled friend, and unlike the previous life, he teaches tricks and teaches breathing. He kills a tiger living on South Mountain, sells its hide and gives him wealth, and he catches and kills a flood dragon under a bridge that eats people, and even feeds its inner core to his friend. As a result, the leg-crippled friend gains wealth and becomes able to walk again. Thank you, Blackie, thank you. About 1 year. In around a year's worth of time, the leg-crippled friend gives the boy the name, Blackie. This is the same name he gave in the first life. Because the boy roamed while wearing black clothes to honor his mother's death in his own way, the leg-crippled friend gave him the name, Blackie. It's nothing, we are friends. Blackie hugs the leg-crippled tight and smiles. 1 year of time. It is the same time he spent with the leg-crippled in the first life. During that time, he saw his own kind of hope. And today, exactly the first anniversary of meeting him, is the day when, in the first life, the leg-crippled betrayed him and sold off his mother's keepsake. The peddler who coaxes this kid. I already killed him. Within the leg-crippled boy's heart, killing intent or greed cannot be found. He fixed his legs. He killed the person who would tempt him. He even removed the curse called poverty that would make him possess greed itself. He also did not show any bodily defect that would make him be looked down on as blind like in his previous life. The situation differs from before, so he will not betray him. Moreover, the waves of intent he feels also reflect the leg-crippled boy's heart, showing that he does not particularly harbor an evil heart. If it is only a little, I can change it. Of course, because this boy's lifespan is exactly until today, he might not be able to avoid dying today. But just as he stayed by his mother's deathbed, the very process by which the leg-crippled dies may be different. He may be able to regard the leg-crippled boy not as a filthy betrayer, but as a friend. If the boy who came to have the name, Blackie, can only become like so. The heart of himself that suffered in the first life. The resentment and pain knotted in a corner of that heart might be able to be saved. Thinking so, the boy vows that, if he does not betray him, he will kill even the god who spends out lifespans to save his friend. And so, that night arrives. Puak, blink. Blackie looks at the knife embedded in his body. Why, you bastard, what kind of 8-year-old brat doesn't even let out a single scream? Blackie looks around. They are the village butchers. He knows well that they are people who habitually do dirty deeds, and sometimes even take on murder for hire requests. Crack. Blackie crushes the knife with his bare hands and pulls it out, then lifts with one hand the butcher who stabbed him and flings him away. Quang. One butcher smashes through the room's ceiling, flies away, and becomes a lump of blood. Blackie looks around with clear eyes. Don't move, you monster bastard. If you move, I will kill your one and only friend. Huheuk. Blackie. He looks at the friend held hostage by the butchers. This life, the friend did not betray him. In this life, those who attack him are only marketplace butchers unrelated to him. From that alone, he feels relieved. Crunch. An instant. In only an instant, all the butchers die at once. In a flash, the entire room where Blackie was sleeping blows apart, and wind pressure and shockwaves cover the area. The courtyard of the manor where Blackie and the leg-crippled friend lived together enters his eyes under the moonlight. Don't worry, you won't die today. Under the moonlight, whether at someone's instigation, numerous contract killers, assassins, and bandits hold weapons and look at Blackie with tense eyes. With a calm face, Blackie faces his friend, who is a little older than him but still a child. Because you are my friend. Even if your lifespan ends today, I will kill even the power of the god who decides lifespans to save you. So don't worry, Puak, Fry. And, Blackie looks at the leg-crippled who, trembling, drives a knife into his chest. What are you doing? He truly cannot understand. There is no one as well versed in murder and killing as himself. He definitely did not feel killing intent from the leg-crippled boy. He also did not feel any will to commit murder. Lately he seems a bit depressed and confused, but Blackie thought that, since the leg-crippled friend's physical age is a little older than his, it is only confusion arising as he goes through puberty. Then, why, don't make me laugh. You beat to death the tiger of South Mountain. You beat to death the flood dragon under the bridge. You picked up a completely useless me and raised me. Everyone fears you. Blackie looks into the leg-crippled friend's eyes. In those eyes lies an emotion Blackie can never understand. For ordinary people, they are called despair and inferiority. And an emotion they call fear. They are emotions that, across his past life and this life, Blackie has never once felt and cannot understand. The magistrate of Jew County said if I help kill you, he will marry me to his daughter. Greed similar to the previous life. However, that greed only seems like an excuse. Because the leg-crippled friend regards Blackie as an incomprehensible monster, and something that must be dealt with. You're a monster, die. Please die. Chi. From the sword the boy stabbed into Blackie, a faint sorcery shines and makes the boy's body heavy. Poison energy whirls through his body, and black shackle-like patterns appear all over him and bind him. The sorcery worked. Attack all at once. Hunt the monster wearing a human mask, the one who killed the tiger of South Mountain and beat to death the flood dragon under the bridge. To ordinary beings, an incomprehensible fear. That is the greatest superficial reason the being called Blackie was betrayed and shunned. But Blackie knows. So I cannot change it. Because he can see how the causality, history, and fate of this world flow. He thought he could change small things. But the flow of the world does not change no matter what he does. For history that has already repeated once only goes along the original flow. Betrayed by the one he trusts. Made to have his heart shattered. The world moves to recreate history and fabricates reasons here and there. First principle of history. History does not change. Even if one twists small currents, the result never changes. Blackie laughs. Hey, with a face all distorted, with tears dripping down, he laughs. The experiment failed. A person's effort cannot change the fixed result. Rather, he should not have become friends with the leg crippled at all in this life. He should have eliminated the very opportunity to build friendship and trust. For if he had not expected from the start, there would not have been disappointment. Kururum. Above Blackie's hand, something black rises. Above his mother's keepsake, the law of the world that he twisted up with darkness world sucks in the surrounding causality, recombines it, and spits out a new power. Shamans and Yaoguai, sorcerers, monks, and Taoists call the power they use when wielding mysterious sorcery qi. He refines that mysterious power and tempers it into the form of pure death. The pure death of the North Pole. Gang, gang. The mother of pearl hairpin of his mother in Blackie's hand. From the keepsake that the leg crippled stole from him in his first life, Black Gang Chi sprouts like countless teeth and claws and begins a slaughter. Quagwagwagwa. Gang Chi swirls. It is a single storm. The Jew County magistrate, in order to suppress the little ghost that threatens his power, had eminent high monks make binding spells and, using the friend, set them upon Blackie. However, those binding sorceries shatter helplessly. Just as a tornado turns a city into a wasteland, a black vortex blankets the entirety of Jew County. A great massacre begins. Countless human lives and living souls are torn to shreds and become lumps of meat, and the entire county is destroyed and becomes a ruin. The magistrate and his family are dismembered and scattered like trash. In that desolate ruin where everything is gone, the morning sun rises. Blackie looks at the old friend he alone kept alive until sunrise. The old friend looks up at Blackie with blank eyes. Quote, friend. Looking down at the human who betrayed him twice across 2 lives, Blackie opens his mouth heavily. I killed the magistrate too. Now speak honestly. Why did you betray me? Quote, why? He opens his mouth. You, monster. You're a monster. The old friend, looking at the magistrate and the magistrate's daughter who roll on the ground as lumps of meat, still spits curses toward Blackie while wetting himself. You are not even human. Quote, quote. You're a monster. That's right. A snake. A snake. How can you wear human skin, and do something like this, you snake bastard? You're a monster, you're not human, inside you're pitch black, a black snake. Black Snake, the name his first friend gave him for the second time in the first life. In this life too, he gains the same name. History repeats. Crunch. The child who gains the name, Black Snake, crushes one of the old friend's legs. Is that all you have to say? Og, aaagh. Gee go to hell. Killing so many people, killing the sacred tiger of South Mountain, and killing the flood dragon under the bridge, and now even killing the magistrate, and his innocent daughter. You monster who dragged me in, raised me like a pet, and only mimics a human life. You, crunch, the remaining leg is crushed. He becomes a leg crippled again. Kuog, why, you are not human. Don't try to mimic a human. Quote, quote. Slice. Black Snake cuts off the leg crippled's neck. In the morning sun, having at last cut off the neck of his first friend, he collapses on the spot. Even though he regressed, nothing changed. No, rather, even more blood stains his hands. Quote, wrong. The Black Snake, before the hope that has died, collapses and grits his teeth. Instead of saying Black Snake, or monster, you should have said, I'm sorry, the bad magistrate made me do it, I had no choice, something like that. He knows. All these lines are exactly the same as the words the leg crippled spit out in the last life. Back then he did not show such overwhelming force, and they were the words the leg crippled spit out while being carried off on someone's back and fleeing. However, even though he showed this overwhelming force and showed slaughter, the past did not change. More precisely, the lines that wedge into Black Snake's chest and give him the most painful wound did not change. The great currents of history cannot be changed, but the small ones can be twisted. Only, the existence called the Black Snake, by its very being, is a great current. Second life. In the first regression, the Black Snake gains the lesson that innate fate and its outcome cannot be changed. However, he does not abandon hope. People do not change. They do not reform to goodness. If so, the person who gave him hope, the meeting with the one who alone breathed hope into a life with nothing but pain and misfortune, and the happiness he enjoyed within it, they will never change. Thus, for salvation, the Black Snake begins to walk to meet the wife of his previous life. Chapter 795 Primordial Chaos 5. The Black Snake sets out on the road. Leaving behind the great massacre of the county, he leaves his hometown and heads for the far west. Passing countless counties and counties, crossing cities and cities, he reaches the border beyond mountains and rivers. His home country, the Central Spirit Holy Kingdom. Beyond that country, in order to meet the wife of the first cycle who lives at the far western edge. The black snake crosses a country called Biokra, and also crosses a country called Yangguo. Crossing country after country, unlike in the previous life, he gathers wealth and creates status. He captures bandits he meets along the way and subdues them with overwhelming force. He puts them through training close to torture, makes them his subordinates, and then forms a group. The first name of the group is taken from the Black Snake's name, the Huxia Society He She Wei. As the master of the Huxia Society, as Huxia, the Black Snake leads his subordinates, builds status and wealth, and at last, reaches the country at the far west. He reaches Shanxi, and even within the Shanxi, the country at the western edge. He reaches a place where the great mountain range of Shanxi lies. I came quickly. Huxia arrives with his subordinates at a village halfway up the great mountain range. Now 10 years old, in his hand he holds his mother's keepsake, a mother of pearl hairpin. His mother said this, that she came from the far western edge country, Shanxi. That in that Shanxi, she was born and raised in a village on the western edge of a mountain range. Only, having been caught by a bandit gang, her entire family was taken as slaves, and being sold and sold again, she drifted all the way to the land of the Central Spirit Holy Kingdom, gave birth to him, escaped from a slave trader, and barely managed to settle down. Before Huxia meets the wife of his first life, he goes to a corner of this village. Mother, Huxia's very first life. At that time, Huxia lost his eyes and a friend, and, recalling his mother's words, he came all the way to the western edge so that at least the keepsake may tread upon the soil of her homeland. The woman he met there was the wife of his first life. This place was his mother's hometown and his own new starting point. When he arrives, what greets him is a ruin in collapse. His mother always went around saying this, that if she is born again, she wants to be born as a man. Born as a man, she does not want to live a fate where she is kidnapped by mere bandits, forced away from her homeland, and sold here and there. She said she hoped to become a learned person who can give her child a proper name, not just some name picked up and stuck on carelessly. Yes. If she is born again. If you are born again, you said you wished, for at least a body that can protect your child, a mind that can give a good name, a homeland to settle down and live peacefully, and to be a person who could live by telling stories. Huxia walks in, and, remembering the words his mother said whenever she had a moment, he strokes the ruin. If there is a next life, please. Even if only as a learned bookstore owner, be born and spend your whole life in peace. He leans against the ruin, sets his mother's keepsake upon it, and closes his eyes. And if his mother is indeed born again, he imagines her born as a boy of a good family, becoming a bookshop owner, giving meaningful names to children, telling fairy tales every day, and living long without hunger or illness. It is fine even if he himself is not in that picture. Even if Huxia himself, fallen into the hell of killing karma, is to be born again merely as a bug or a beast. After leaning against the ruins for some time and praying for his mother's blissful rebirth, Huxia buries his mother's keepsake before the ruins, and the Huxia Society settles in a suitable cave on a peak across from the village. The villagers treat the Huxia Society, which takes up residence in a nearby cave, as a band of thieves and fear them, but so long as they are there, there is no longer any chance that this village will be attacked by other bands of thieves or bandits and that someone will be horribly murdered or dragged away. Moreover, even while the Huxia Society itself is shunned and feared, Huxia himself is, in outward appearance, a 10-year-old boy. He does not come to the village filthy in rags like in his past life, instead, being served as the chief of the Huxia Society, comes wearing neat clothes. The villagers may think of Huxia as the child of an officer belonging to the Huxia Society, but they do not imagine that he is its master. People neither hate him nor fear him. On the contrary, some village notables, seeking to make a connection with the bandit gang by tying a connection with Huxia, the child of a bandit gang officer, even introduce their daughters to him. But Huxia does not so much as glance at such connections. He only inquires after and seeks out a girl of the same age, a maid being raised in a noble household. Having just turned 11 this year, 1 year older in body than Huxia, the maidservant's name is what people roughly call her because they picked her up from under a willow on the western mountain slope, Coagi. West baby. No, in truth even that is not particularly fixed, so, changing the pronunciation as is convenient, she comes to be called by various names such as Coak Western Peak, Coyak Oath, Coyuk, Western Region, or Westy, Cojok. And she is precisely the leper woman whom Hyuk-sa met in his very first life. Excuse me, I heard a girl called Westy is here. Oh right, the nanny definitely said that girl is being made to work in the back garden. Why are you curious about her? Let's see. To meet Westy, the maid of the noble household, Hyuk-sa befriends a child of the noble household, then goes to that house to play and heads to the back garden where Westy is said to be. Ah, there she is. Hey, wait, what are you eating right now? The son of the noble household, who is about to guide Hyuk-sa to the back garden and introduce the girl called Westy, has his eyes go wide, and Westy freezes on the spot at his shout. In the back garden, Westy was secretly taking a big bite from a large peach. No matter how large the noble household is, peaches are not food a maidservant can taste, so she is surely stealing a bite. Caught by the noble household's young master and Hyuk-sa, Westy freezes with her cheeks puffed out from a big bite of the peach, and her eyes well with tears. Hick, I am so wee, eek, how shameful, I finally brought a friend over and you're stealing that again. Just how does that make me look? The noble household's young master has his face turn red and blue and goes to look for a six-sided club, saying he will beat the maidservant, and Westy drops down on the spot and sobs bitterly, crying, wah wah. Hyuk-sa takes that sight into his eyes. In the past life he was in a blind man's body, so he could not take it into his eyes, but Westy's face and skin, hair, small hands and feet. Even though he honed his senses and could say he understood her form, still, her color that he never once saw is beautiful. Not her looks or her mannerisms, but her very existence is beautiful and lovable. Don't cry. Though she is 1 year older than he, Hyuk-sa lifts Westy, who sits and whimpers, and soothes her. In the end, perhaps the noble household's child does not have the heart to actually beat the girl with a six-sided club. Seeming only to want to imitate adults for fun, he breaks off a little foxtail grass and stands beside her, pretending to beat Westy as a game, and only then does Westy stop crying, realizing she is not truly being beaten and driven out. I'm sorry, young master. The peach looked so delicious. Huff, huff. The noble household's young master, who is only 7 years old, pants there on the spot appearing to be tired. Looking at him, Hyuk-sa speaks. Friend, what is it? I'll be taking this Westy. The child recalls the nanny's words of, you must not carelessly give the household's property to others as such as waste. But at the same time, he recalls the words of his mother and father this morning when he brought Hyuk-sa who he made as a friend, saying, that boy has a vicious bandit of the nearby bandit gang for a father, so absolutely do not offend his mood, and if possible, keep on friendly terms. Because the village where they live is a place where government troops do not come often, for them the bandit gang settled beyond the ridge is a far more fearful and terrifying presence than the distant government troops. But for the child, on the one hand he was told not to give away property, and on the other he was told not to offend, so from a 7-year-old standpoint it is hard to judge. The nanny said I can't do that, but mother and father should be okay with it. Got it. We happen to have a jar of salt at our house. I will give that in exchange. It is one of the goods the Hyuk-sa society seized while sweeping away nearby thieves and bandit gangs. Since most of the seized goods are too burdensome to give to a rural village's noble household like this, Hyuk-sa decides to choose something moderately acceptable to give. A jar of salt. At those words, the child nods. For that much, it seems fine to give away a maid who steals peaches from the house as much as he likes. In that case, he is not carelessly wasting property as the nanny said, and he is not offending the other as his mother and father said. Good, let's do that. Hey, you, from now on our house doesn't need a maidservant who steals peaches like you, so you are going to be sent to Hyuk-sa's house from now on. Got it. At those words, Westy bursts into tears again. Having been picked up and raised in this house since she was a tiny baby, this house is truly her home. Moreover, she already heard all about this young master, Hyuk-sa, in front of her wearing those black clothes. It's because she heard the other maidservants chattering. She heard that young master Hyuk-sa's house is the house of a fearsome bandit gang, and that the bandits are all ferocious and brutal, often beating their subordinates and, if it is severe, even killing them. If it is that young master Hyuk-sa's terrifying house, surely a slow and sluggish maid like her will be beaten every day and, if displeasing, killed. Hyuk-sa smiles as he watches her bawling at the sight of him. Just the fact that he can see her face makes him so overwhelmed, and she is lovable. Hyuk-sa takes her hand, and as he leads the still sobbing Westy out of the noble household, he speaks. Don't cry, Westy, Hoyong. I am Seo Aju, Hoyong. From now on, I will let you eat lots of peaches. Hekek, I will let you wear silk clothes. I will buy you many pretty ornaments. I will let you wear flower shoes. Instead of a vague name, I will find a good namer and give you a good name that has a proper meaning. Holding the hand of the girl called Coagi or also called Westy, Hyuk-saw gently speaks as they walk together over the ridge to the Hyuk-saw Society's den. Because his voice is so soft and kind, Westy stops her tears and looks at Hyuk-saw. I will make you happy. Marry me. Clench. Hyuk-saw holds her hand and bows inwardly. 10 years from now, she contracts leprosy, her body rots, and she is caught by a bandit gang and burns to death. If a person cannot be changed, the happiness she gives him until she dies will also not change. I will change the world. Therefore, he will not let the world kill her. The small entities called germs are being sufficiently graspable to his senses. He has the skill to prick and pop each and every leprosy bacillus to death. The form of connection cannot be changed, but the heavens that bestows that connection can be changed by his skill. No matter how much you cut and tear people, they cannot be changed, but the heavens can be torn apart and twisted. I will not let you die. I will give you a good name, and a happy life. Perhaps, in this life they may even be able to have the child they could not have in the last life. Let's become happy together in this life. Hyuk-saw thus, taking Westy, heads toward the Hyuk-saw Society's den, smiling brightly. A few years have passed since Hyuk-saw settled in the village. Since you were born under a willow, your surname will be Yang. To give an even more meaningful and good name to Westy, who has become his wife, he sought out a namer said to be famous in the vicinity. For the name, Hwe Wei is good. Hwe Wei. Hyuk-saw originally did not know how to read. In his first life he was blind, so the blade was always more meaningful than writing. Therefore, only now is he learning a little bit of letters together with Westy who's become his wife. Thus he knows that the character Hwe Wei carries the meaning of, to return, or, to cycle. Sha. The atmosphere near the namer's house becomes chilly. With clear eyes, Hyuk-saw looks at the namer who gave his wife the name, Young Hwe. In truth, it is the name she received even in the past life. But at that time, he did not even know the meaning of the name, and he simply thought that a learned namer would surely give a good name and accepted it gratefully. However, only now that he underwent regression, Wei, can he understand what on earth the namer who gave the name has done. Who are you? Black gangchi surges from Hyuk-saw's body. In the last life, when he met this namer, it was before he gained fortuitous encounters such as the star-extinguishing true chapter, so he did not know who it was as he had not yet grown explosively stronger. But now he can tell. The namer who bestowed a name upon his wife is not human. It is a divinity who borrows a human body and has come to this place. Are you the one who sent me back? At those words, the namer smiles faintly and speaks. I do not understand what the distinguished one speaks. What do you? However, my master seems to know something. Master. At those words, the namer points to the sky. One day, if you are curious about the cause of everything, come seek my master. They measure and know all things that happen in this cosmic great desolation. Quote. Only then does Hyuk-saw know who the namer's master is, and who the namer is. He blinks, and the namer disappears. The envoy of the chief god who, in the first life, proposed to him the seat of the war god. Hyuk-saw understands that the envoy was the namer just now. The master the namer speaks of must be the chief god. The being he also calls Lord Heavens. Has Lord Heavens known why he underwent regression? By even having an envoy give such a name to his wife, it is a hint that they know the true nature of the ability called regression. Quote. Hyuk-saw looks at the sky and then heads back to the village. In any case, he obtained his wife's name. Yang Hwe, Yang Wei. Hwe. It is a name bestowed not by a mere ordinary namer but by the chief god who rules this world. Hwe. In this life, I will never let you suffer. Through the envoy, the Lord Heavens is speaking. That if he wants to know the truth, to come seek them. But for now, he cannot go. To reach the being called the chief god requires far too much time. And within that time, his wife Yang Hwe, according to history, will contract leprosy and die. In this life, I will not let you catch any illness and will let you live a long and healthy life. Even if I have to kill the god who determines lifespan, I will protect you. Even if everything repeats, he will make it so this does not repeat. If fate, if history, if connection stands in his way, he will save her even if he must kill them all. Hoping for such modest happiness. Hyuk-seo moves his steps toward his wife, who is waiting for him at home. As I read Hong Fan's memories, I do not dare read beyond those hopeful memories. I have not yet read the memories beyond, but the memories that contain the story afterward are filled with even darker and more painful emotions. Yes, this very moment is the last moment in Hong Fan's life when normal hope and joy remained.